Well, hello everyone. Happy Friday. It is another lawn care live stream. My name is Ron Henry, and I am here to help answer your lawn care questions. If this is your first time in the live stream or coming to the channel, first of all, welcome. The way this works, super simple. You can just see a chat there with a bunch of lawn care crazies all in there. People are really passionate about lawn care. Simply drop your questions down in there, and I work through them in the order they come in. Sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I don't. But either way, we have an awesome time talking about turf grass. So guys, we're well into spring. Summer's going to be here before we know it. We finally got a lot of rain, or we got some rain in Georgia. So the lawns are hopefully doing a lot better. And, we've got a lot to go through tonight, lots to cover. I'm not sure I'll get through all of it, but we'll see. Depending on how many questions you guys have, depends on how much of the stuff that I want to talk about, I get to talk about. All right, so let's see who we have in the live stream tonight. First of all, we got VMH leading off the charge. We're saying, hey, Ron, happy Friday. What's going on, VMH? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Thanks for coming to hang out. And then Archie, never to be one to waste time, has a question. He says, good evening, young man. How many times a year should sulfate of potash be applied to your lawn? Have you heard of Yukon Bermuda grass seed? And if so, would you recommend using it? Great questions. So the answer to how many times per year should you apply SOP or sulfate of potash really is going to be driven by, you know what's coming, your soil tests. So I am a fan of always including some potassium in your fertilizer anytime you're fertilizing your lawn, just like I'm also a fan of always including nitrogen. The only macro that you really should apply only based on soil test results is phosphorus. You really don't want to be loading that up unless you really need it. But potassium, every time I apply a fertilizer, I'm trying to think if I've ever used a fertilizer in recent times that did not contain potassium. I think Milo doesn't have any potassium in it, but I mean, in like recent years, it's always been some number 0 and then whatever the potassium is, right? So I'd say you want to have that as part of your regular fertilization program. How much you need, again, a soil test will tell you that. If your soil is very deficient of potassium, there is a product on the golf course lawn store that's I think it's 48% potash. I can look here and show you really quick. Let us see. Make sure I'm telling you right. Don't want to be fibbing. So you go to the golf course lawn store, go to lawn fertilizer, and there's a product that I believe, it's 48% sulfate of potash. So if you are deficient of potassium, this is a great product. I would not make this your primary fertilizer though. So if you are, again, very deficient, you want to give your lawn a good kick of potash to get things going, sure, go ahead and use that. But then I would use something like, well, Humic Max is sold out, but something like Flag would be a good fertilizer to run on a every 4 to 6 week basis, if that makes sense. So I would not run straight potash all the time. Your soil needs nitrogen and all the other nutrients. But again, if you're very, very deficient based on your soil test results, you can use that to help to kind of boost levels a little faster, and then also go to a more balanced fertilizer that has a bit of everything in it. On that topic, some of the questions I've gotten with Humic Max sold out and likely to remain sold out for the rest of the season, a question I've gotten from several viewers is what should they use as a substitute and at what rate? So I have a bag of Flagship coming, but I can tell you guys now what the answer is going to be. I'll tell you guys how to figure it out. So when we were using Humic Max, right, it was a 1608. And I'll go back here. It was 1608. So when we applied that at around 5 pounds per 1,000, we got about just under half a pound of nitrogen, 0.48 pounds of nitrogen to be exact, right? With Flagship, which is what I'm going to tell you guys to start using until price of fertilizer drops and Humic Max isn't crazy expensive. With this, you're simply going to apply this at 2 pounds per 1,000. So the rate on the bag is 3 pounds per 1,000, but Alan and the guys at Yard Mastery assume that you're primarily going to be using this. You're not using the spoon feeding program that I recommend. So if you're using Yard Mastery, and if you do the math on that, so you take 2 and then you multiply that by 0.24, which is 24%, which is the amount of nitrogen that's in Flagship, you come up with the exact same 0.48 pounds of nitrogen. So if you want to continue the spoon feeding program, you can use Flagship at a lower rate, so 2 pounds per 1,000, and you get essentially the same amount of nitrogen that you were getting in Humic Max. Now, granted, you're not getting all the other benefits of Humic Max, like just humic acid, but there's nothing we can do about that at this time. So as a substitute for all you guys have been blowing up my email, asking me questions about what to use instead of Humic Max, go with Flagship and just run it at a lower rate if you are going to do the spoon feeding program like what I recommend. All right, great question. Thanks so much for that, Archie. On to VMH. He has a question. He says, I had an outbreak of nut sedges. They were all over the lawn and everywhere. Fortunately, I have plenty of Celsius and Certainty to spray them with today. Yeah, so if all you have, VMH, are sedges, I would hold back on the Celsius. I mean, you can. Celsius is labeled to control a couple of sedges, but really Certainty is the bee's knees. That's the Mac Daddy when it comes to sedge control. So unless you have something else you're trying to treat as well, I would just save the Celsius, save that herbicide. It's expensive, right? So save that. Go down with Certainty. To 2 to 3 scoops per gallon, per 1,000 square feet. For the spot spraying you're going to be doing will give you a great result. Make sure you use surfactant with it. I know you already know that and you already have some, but just for anyone else watching, definitely always use surfactant whenever you use Celsius and or Certainty, or both of them together. So save the Celsius, just go with Certainty, and it'll do a great job knocking out the sedges. Good stuff. All right, next up is Obadiah Camerling. He says, I put Celsius and Certainty out on Wednesday, looking forward to the results in 7 to 10 days. Wondering if it'll be fine to mow in the morning. So you put it out on Wednesday. So yeah, Wednesday morning. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, I mean, it's been a few days. The longer you can give it, the better. But really, 2 days, 2 to 3 days is plenty of time, right? That's plenty of time. You can go ahead and mow now, and you're still going to get the benefits of the herbicides. No issues with that at all. So good job, Obadiah, getting that down, and then also good job being patient on waiting to get your mow on. I know how tough that can be at times. All right. Next up is Archie again. He has another question. He says, should or would you recommend placing compost after leveling your lawn? So the answer is, if you ask me if you should ever put compost in your lawn, my answer is always going to be yes. There's tons of benefits to it. But you have to go into it knowing that you're applying compost strictly for the benefit of improving soil quality, by trying to increase the amount of organic material in the lawn. But it's not the best material for leveling, because I mean it's going to break down, so you're going to end up not necessarily exactly where you started, but you're going to end up pretty close to where you started. So if your thing is, I've leveled the lawn, I put down like a 70-30 blend, Archie, and now I just want to add some more compost to help feed, improve soil quality, absolutely. I'm definitely a huge fan of that. If you think about it, Essential G, right, which is compost and biochar and reclaimed coffee grounds and a bunch of other good stuff, essentially is compost in a prill form. Granted, it's compost and a bunch of other great stuff in there as well too, but because compost is very, how can you say this, labor intensive to spread on a regular basis, having it in a prill form is the beauty of Essential G. On that note, guys, in case you guys didn't realize, Essential G is finally back in stock. I said it live this morning, so you guys can order it. Go ahead and get it. We have a pretty good supply, but there's nothing that says it's going to last. You guys have been buying it up like crazy, so thank you for that. And just for anyone that has not heard it yet, because I posted it on YouTube, I've sent out an email, and I'm telling you here now. So if you want to get Essential G, you can get it. I would go ahead and get that ahead of time. And same thing for Nutrisolve, also back in stock. Finally. So, and that one we have less of. So if you really need Nutrisolve, you want to get that more so than the ESG. All right, next up, Archie has another question. He says, how hard should we be pushing our grass growth? I wouldn't, when you say push grass growth, I don't, when I hear that, Archie, what I comes to mind is someone's going to put an extra heavy dose of nitrogen down, or is going to put, more nitrogen than the grass really calls for. I'm not really a fan of doing that. If you're trying to get the lawn to recover from injury or something and you want to go a little bit heavier, sure. But really, I'm a huge fan of figuring out how much N you want to feed the lawn per month and just sticking to that. And then you're able to use products like Primo, like Plant Growth Regulator, to manage the growth, to help slow down growth, especially as temps get warmer. But I would not be pushing or adding excess nitrogen to get the grass to grow faster. 0.8 to a pound of nitrogen. I tend to lean more towards that 0.8 rule, somewhere in that area. So that 0.7 to 0.8 is plenty. That's plenty to get your grass to grow and thrive and do very well, especially if you're also doing a lot of the biostimulants like the Essential G and the other the other parts of the program that really help make those nutrients that you're putting in regularly with fertilizer available. So you really don't need to put add a ton more. Pushing too much fertilizer, while I look for the next comment, pushing too much fertilizer is a great way to cause excess growth. It's a way to start, causing thatch problems in the lawn. You can cause disease, or you create conditions where disease is more likely to take root. So there's not really a ton of reasons to do it other than the lawn maybe fills in a little bit faster. But as a matter of practice, I just really wouldn't recommend doing that. So hope that helps. If you have any other questions, let me know. and we will do our best to answer them. Fairway Bermuda's in the house. We got Daryl in the house. What's going on, Daryl? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. See, you've been doing a lot of really good content, so keep it up, keep going. And guys, we have Northeast Georgia YouTube royalty in the house. We have Alexander Lee, guys. He's hanging out with us tonight. I'm sure he's got other things he'd be doing on a Friday night, but he decided to take a little bit of time, hang out in here, chat with you guys, interact with everyone. Here's the thing, guys. Any of the videos where you see where the camera work is really extraordinary, it's Alex on the other end of it. So any of the videos that you guys see that you really like, that you say, oh, wow, the cinematography in this is really good. Like the cameraman is doing a really good job following you. That's him. So on that note, there's going to be a video that's going to go live tomorrow morning on this device that Robert Rainey talked me into getting, that you guys have been, actually all of you guys have been harassing me about getting for years now, and I finally broke down and got one. One of those like rotary scissors, the still rotary scissors, those combi things, the RG, I think it's called. So that is going to go live tomorrow morning. So make sure you guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel that are in here, subscribe so you guys will be able to see that when it goes live tomorrow morning. It should be a fun video. I don't talk too much in it. I mean, well, I do talk, but you know me, I got to talk. But I give you guys a nice montage of using that tool in all the places and ways that I think it makes a lot of sense to use it. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you do, let me know. If you don't, I'm sure you'll let me know too. All right. Next up is Joseph Roberts. He says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. I got my first cut in 5 days in the 6 inches of rain we got in 4 days in a row. Wow. Yeah, that is a ton, Joseph. We didn't get quite that much here in Northeast Georgia. I mean, Alex and I were praying for more rain, but really what happened here is we would get like crazy heavy rainfall for 30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and then it would lighten up. So it was a lot of rain, but it was, there was never a ton of it that came down all at once. I'll put it to you this way. My litmus test when the lawn has had enough water, when we've gotten a lot of rain, is when I started getting small puddles in the back lawn. Now, granted, it's been aerated, but this time around, like even with all the rain we got, no puddles really formed. I think Alex got a very, very light one that quickly went away. So we got water. I mean, the lawn got a good drink, but it's not what I would consider to be really heavy rain, a really good soaking. But I'm glad you're able to get out there and get your mow on. That is awesome. And, hopefully you're able to get more on a regular mowing cadence now that all the rain has stopped. All right, guys, let me run down here and grab a super chat really quick. I'm trying to do a better job about not missing those. So we got one here from John Rob Will. Thank you so much, sir. I really do appreciate the support.
Super chat received.
He just says, happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday to you, John. Thank you so much for the support. Thanks for kicking it off. I always appreciate the super chats, guys. It helps pay for lights and cameras and all the other stuff you guys see on the channel. So I really do appreciate the support. Appreciate when you guys watch the content, obviously, too. But monetary support is also always cool. And John, Rob Will, you have the honor of being the show's sponsor, the show sponsor right now. So thank you so much for that. And there you go. Your name in lights for whatever that means to you. Okay, next up is Paco Guibes. Paco says, hey, Ron, some of us can't afford the more expensive fancy fertilizers there are out there. Would you recommend, or what would you recommend for a normal homeowner who doesn't want to spend a ton on fertilizer? I mean, here's the thing, Paco. I don't really consider the fertilizers that, particularly the ones that we sell in the golf course lawn store, to be particularly expensive, especially when you look at the application rates that you get out of them. So you figure a bag of pretty much a general rule is most of the bags on the store will cover 15,000 square feet. If you're using Flagship in my spoon feeding program, it'll be even more than that. It'd be closer to, what is that? Quite a bit more, a little over, almost 20,000 square feet. So a little bit over that. So quite a bit. So there are fertilizers you can get at your big box stores. I can't really recommend one because whenever I go in there, I go to see what the price of Milo is, and that's about it. I don't really look at any of the other fertilizers. I will tell you this though. Here's what you can do. Get a soil test, because this is going to be the way you're going to be able to answer this question for yourself. Get a soil test. The one I recommend is the one from My Soil. Based on your soil test results, simply go to, in the results that you get back, it's going to tell you what your soil is deficient in, if anything. And it's also going to give you a fertilizer recommendation. It's going to have like a number, a set of 3 numbers, like your NPK numbers. Just write those down, take a picture of them, whatever you want to do, and then simply go to your big box store and see what they have that matches that or is pretty close to that. And that's a way that you can get fertilizers a bit more economical. The thing that buying fertilizers from the golf course lawn store that you're dealing with is you're paying for shipping. That's the thing that makes the price of the fertilizers more expensive. So, and there's not a ton really that I really anyone else that sells fertilizer online can really do about that. But for the coverage you get, the fertilizers really aren't expensive. I guess is what I'm trying to get to. So hopefully that helps. Again, a soil test, and then from those results, go to your big box store and find something that fits. There's not really one that I can recommend because, again, outside of Milo, I don't really look at the fertilizers at the big box stores to be able to make you guys recommendations. I would say go get Flagship, or if you need a lot of potassium, go get Stress Blend, or the Triple 12 if you need a bit of everything. That would be my recommendation. All right, Archie, we are live, man. We are live. I know you were saying what's going on. You know, I'm slacking, right? You're trying to get out, trying to get your view on, get in there and get your questions in. And it was just before the show. I tend to do a bit of give it a little bit of time so people can see the live stream, come in. YouTube can do its thing. The algorithm can do its thing, and get people to come in here and come hang out with us. On the note of the algorithm, guys, if you guys wouldn't mind, we've got 91 people in here right now, and there's only 31 likes. What's up with that? We could do better than that. I mean, here's the thing. You know, hitting that like button ever so gently or hard, however you want to do it, doesn't cost anything. You don't have to buy a bag of fertilizer. You don't do a super chat to do that. It's completely free. All it takes is a mouse move or a trackpad swipe and a tap. That's all it takes, and it's a free way for you to support the channel. Really helps me out. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I'd really, really appreciate it. All right, Paco Greaves is here. He says, I saw Sunnyland had a professional turf fertilizer that was half the price of all the other ones that seemed like it would do a good job. What do you think about that and other fertilizers? I think if you need if that formulation is what your soil needs based on your soil test results, I think it's a great choice. The thing that you're omitting whenever you buy fertilizer from one of the big box stores is shipping, right? So if you took the same fertilizer and we had to ship it to you, it's going to cost the same thing or more than what the fertilizers that are on the golf course lawn store. So 24-0-11 is a good formulation. If your soil needs a bit of nitrogen, a bit of potassium, which pretty much all soil needs those, should be good to go. Should be good to go. I would just watch and read on the label if it's whether it's like what percentage of it is slow or quick release, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to use just that as for feeding the lawn, you know, you may want something that's a little bit slower. If you're going to do a like a blended program where you're going to also do liquids, you may want something that's going to release a bit faster. But on the bag, on the label, it will tell you what percentage of it is slow or quick release fertilizer. All right, next up is Justin Aguilar. Justin's up next. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron. What would you recommend to loosen up the dry clay soil under Bermuda? I use a Pro Plugger and notice how hard and dry my soil is after 2 inches. I've aerated my lawn 3 weeks ago with Air 8 and also used Air 8. So you did a lot of the things I would recommend, it sounds like, Justin. So I imagine you watered before you aerated, but you watered, you aerated, and it sounds like you're using some technology or some of the products that will help, you know, what they call the liquid aeration products, right? So really, it's just outside of that, as far as improving soil quality. The next thing I'm going to say, the next step, next tier, and it is a big jump, is to consider top dressing your lawn. You know, you've done a lot of the right stuff. If you want to do another aeration here in another month or so, that's gonna help. But really, you know, getting a nice 70-30 blend of sand soil mixing to kind of help just improve the quality of the soil profile a little bit closer to the surface is going to do a lot for you. I mean, there's tons of benefits to top dressing outside of just you know, loosening up dry compacted soil. Like, I mean, the biggest thing that I got out of it is drainage, like the ability of water to not stay on the surface and just kind of pull water away from the surface. It got way better after top dressing. So that'd be the next thing I would say. As far as products, there's people that like to put gypsum down. They say that helps with relieving compaction. And then the only other thing I say is like another aeration, right? But then you have to go through the whole idea of, or the whole process of the lawn having to recover and from all that injury. So if you're going to do another aeration, I would stack a top dress along with it, because that's also going to yield benefits that all the things I recommended and said already and more. So hope that helps. You're doing all the right things. You know, you can just do another one and perhaps consider top dressing. Big fan of that. Great time of year right now to do it. A lot will bounce back quickly. All right, next up is Cal. Cal says, "Hey, Ron, listening on my drive from North Carolina to CLE, I think Cleveland. Is that Cleveland, I think? Any chance you can have the stream going for 9 hours? Touch the like button ever so gently, everyone. 9 hours would be a bit much. A couple weeks ago, we got to 5 hours, and that was a lot. You know, that was 7 to midnight, which is a long time to be talking about grass. But 9 hours might be a bit much. Maybe one day we could try a marathon or something and see. But I mean, it'd be you, Cal, and like me. It'd be like 3 other people. No one's gonna hang around for all that. All right, you're very, very welcome. I'm Paco. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Really do appreciate all the love and support. Next up is Z. Z says, hello, Ron. Can you talk a little bit about MSM Turf versus the Celsius and Certainty combo? Thanks. I've learned a lot from your videos. Yeah. So MSM Turf, I mean, it's a decent product. It's really at a different price point than Celsius and Certainty. From what I understand, if memory serves me right, it doesn't target POA. And you can spray it, I believe, on some cool season grass. Like I think you can spray it on Kentucky bluegrass and maybe fescue. Check the label though. That one I don't have on the top of my head that well, but it is one that you can use on certain warm season grass and certain cool season grass. So that's a benefit if you care about that. The thing about MSM, I'll say, is that it's often not labeled for use in a lot of states. So for a product that I'm going to talk about and tell people to go use that is also going to produce great results, the Celsius Certainty combo for me, because I'm mainly a warm season guy, is what I really recommend. Another thing, I don't believe MSM Turf targets sedges. I might be wrong on that. Someone fact check me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe it doesn't do sedges either. So no POA, which is what everyone in the South really hates early in the season, and sedges, which is what everyone in the South hates, like starting now and throughout the entire summer once we start getting rain, right? So some of the big problem children that we really care about in warm season grass, it does not target. So that is why I'm not a huge fan of it. Plus, people can't, it's limited in the places where you can actually get it. So hope that helps. Again, it's really not fair to compare those two because Celsius and Certainty are another tier, in my opinion, as far as one in cost and also in effectiveness, right? As far as what they target, how they are on the turf, as far as not, no discoloration or limited discoloration, those types of things. So they're completely different tiers of herbicide, in my opinion. But the one benefit that MSM does have is that you can use it on both cool and warm season turf if that matters to you. On certain cool and warm season turf. So check the label on that. But I believe that's correct about that product. All right, next up is Ted Patterson. He says, hey, Ron, I received the Primo Max from you today. Awesome. Glad it made it safe. These days, the mail carriers have been playing soccer and football with packages. I don't know why. He says, thanks. I'll apply in about 2 weeks when the zoysia has recovered from leveling. Any issues with applying triple 10 fast release a few days before? No, not at all. Again, that triple 10, I imagine, is going to be it's a granular. When you apply the Primo, you're going to want to use a liquid fert along with that. You want to use a liquid fert along with that. So it's it's to help with the slight tip burn that you can get from applying plant growth regulator. For those of you who don't know what Todd or Ted is talking about, Primo Max, this is the plant growth regulator that I use on my lawn, and we carry that in the golf course lawn store. So Ted, what you're trying to do, there should be no issues with that whatsoever. Obviously, watch your rates. You know what I mean? Triple 10 is not a ton of nitrogen, but watch how much you're putting down, and then also make sure that whatever you're mixing with the Primo, you're also putting that down at a modest rate. It doesn't take very much to help prevent the tip burn issue that I'm talking about. If you've got Turfplex, that can work. If you've got 901C and Nutrizolve, those two can work. That's the combination I'm doing. But if you want one product that will do it all, Turfplex is a good option for you. So hope that helps. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments below. Let me know. All right, guys, I think I already told you guys that Nutrizolve is also back in stock along with Essential G, right? Because I did tell people I would tell them that on the live stream that's the case, that it's back in stock. So those of you that have been wanting to get Nutrizolve, get it now. One other thing I told you guys I would update you on, and it's a bit early, but I told you guys I would give you feedback as far as how the lawn has been doing with changing up how I apply Primo Max. Normally, the label calls for one application at the rate for your particular type of grass once per month. That lasts for 3 to 4 weeks, and you get a pretty good result doing that. So what I've been doing here is I have gone half rate every couple of weeks, and I have to tell you guys, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. When I do that, I'm not seeing the tip burn when you use fertilizer is fairly mild, but I'm not seeing any at all, and the grass just looks really good. I was thinking that with going at half rate, it might not regulate as well. It might come out of regulation, within a couple of weeks, and I haven't seen any of that. So it's been working fairly well. I'm going to do my next application this weekend. So my beginning of June Primo app will be this weekend. Carbon Kit, Essential G, all that will go down this weekend. So yeah, but yeah, I'm liking that. So if any of you guys are considering toying with it, again, I'm gonna still do some more testing. I'm gonna call it good if by mid-June we're still smooth sailing. But so far, I'm really liking what I'm seeing with going that half rate every couple of weeks. All right, next up is Paco Gueves. He's back. He says, "Hey Ron, curious, how long did it take for you to get your lawn to a place where people would envy it? Also, how many of your neighbors have asked you how to make their lawns great? What do you tell them?" So how long did it take you to get my lawn to a place where people would envy it? I'm still working on it. It's but as far as saying where the lawn looked good and really, I mean, where I was happy with it, where I could say, yeah, it definitely stands out among the lawns in the neighborhood. After the second top dressing, so there's after, have you been following the channel season 3? We're in season 7 now, so it's like season 3-ish is when I said, oh wow, it's starting to look pretty decent. But every year it's gotten better. Like every year, a little bit of the top dressing and fixing the small areas, and also improving the nutrient program, and just overall just improving it. Just keeping refining things over and over and over. It is getting better. But I would say that if you follow what we did on Alex's lawn, the Fix My Ugly Lawn series, literally that was a test of saying how quickly can we go take a lawn from 0 to hero, and the answer is about 3 months. 3 months thereabouts is about what it takes, and that is with doing like everything. That's making sure you got irrigation, you're using the carbon program, your soil testing, you're doing the fertilization based on the soil test, and you are mowing. The one thing that Alex does is when I'm not mowing, he's out mowing, or if we get our schedules off, if I'm mowing one day, he's mowing the following day. He doesn't miss his mowing schedule. He's really, really good about that. So that's a huge part about getting a lawn or creating a lawn that your neighbors will envy. Our little catch line in the store, to be the envy of the neighborhood. The way you get that is through following a methodical approach, and then also being very, very consistent with your cultural practices. Most important, mowing. So yeah. As far as when my neighbors ask them what it takes, I tell them to go watch the Fix My Ugly Lawn series. The same thing I tell most people on YouTube. And I also tell them when someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want a lawn just like yours," I smile and say, "Do you really know what you're asking for?" Because the amount of work that it takes from mainly a time standpoint of consistent mowing is not something that most people really either want to do or realize that's what it takes, right? So you figure, maintaining a lawn at an inch is not terribly bad. You normally do that around 2 mowings per week. But once you get down to 3/4 of an inch, where I am right now, 5/8, 0.625 height of cut, you got to be out there every other day, and you have to enjoy it. It's one of these things where you have to enjoy doing it. You have to enjoy being out in the lawn. It has to be your thing for it to really work. So for most people, or for a lot of people, not present company accepted, obviously, most of them, when I say that that's what it's going to take, at least twice a week mowing, they're like, I can't do that. And I say, that's fine. There's no problem with that. Mow your lawn taller, go 1.5 inches, mow it, once a week thereabouts, and it's going to look all right. But really, mowing is the thing that you take everything else I'm talking about, the fertilization, the biostimulants, like everything else. That's what ties it all together and produces a lawn that is awesome. So hope that helps answer your question, Paco. And if you have anything else, let me know. All right, next up is Jason T. Jason says, "Ron, you got to start a small putting green on your backyard." Couple of problems with that. I'd have to mow even more than I do now. I'd have to mow literally every day, because you know me, if I'm going to do it, I want it to be nice. And that's what it really takes to have a putting green, get nice and stay nice. And I mean, I tell you, man, like last year, mowing every single day for 2 months about killed me. I mean, it was starting to not be fun. And as soon as it starts not being fun, time to change, right? So granted, a green would be less to cut. So there is that. But also, unless I'm going to make a green that's perfectly flat, which those kind of greens are fairly boring, right? If you're going to do a green, you want to put some undulations in it, some rolls, a little crest to kind of, you can play with your lines when you're putting on it. To really do that right, I'm going to need something with a floating head, which would mean a different mower, because the 1600 would do a decent job, but really you'd want a floating head mower to really, really get that nice and tight, especially if you're going to build out some contours and whatnot on the green, right? So I'm just not ready for that level of commitment just yet. Might happen one day, but definitely not this season. Definitely not this season. So that's another level. That's the it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine that is he's a former greenskeeper, and he said, Ron, the one thing you always say in your live streams is the lower you go, the more you have to mow. But he says, really, you should say the lower you go, the more you have to do. So it's not only just mowing, like the fertilization is more intense. The fungicide program for greens is more intense. Just in general, they're just more work because you're forcing grass to do something that naturally it doesn't really want to do. So it just takes a lot more work. So the lower you go, the more you have to do to make it look nice. So I'm not quite ready for that level of commitment yet. I mean, it would make it difficult for me to make content on YouTube and like my other job, like all my other stuff that I do. So I gotta balance things. I gotta pick my battles. But I appreciate the suggestion, but not just yet. Next up is Brick Rehab. He says, Ron, you're going to make this short tonight. I need you in Fort Worth and rested by by 7 a.m. We have 5 yards to spread. Only 5 yards? Won't take too long. 5 yards would be, that's for 2 people, it's rough. Really, to do 5 yards manually, you want 3 people. 4 would be great, but you really need 3. So you need one person that's out there that's on rake duty, just that's sitting there working the leveling mix in. You need another guy that's loading the wheelbarrow, and another guy that's transporting. And the one that's loading and moving the wheelbarrow, they can trade off. You don't want to have the same person loading and moving the wheelbarrow. It's going to wear them out. So if you can get 3 people, that works well. 4 even better. But that way you guys can rotate between the different jobs as you get tired. But that's 5 yards. Not terrible, but it's going to be a workout. It's going to be a workout. All right, next up is John Williams. He says, hey, Mr. Ron, look forward to your show. I like and subscribe. You all. Yeah, thank you for that, John. I really do appreciate that. The likes and subscribes definitely do help. They definitely, absolutely do help. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And then next up is Mr. John Gleaves. He says, Ron, how long would you delay aeration after spraying Celsius and Certainty combo? I don't know. I'm trying to think. I wouldn't really. Let me think about this. So I'd want to give it ample time for the weeds to take it up. So if you sprayed tomorrow morning, so Saturday morning, and you wanted to aerate, I don't know, if you want to aerate Monday or Tuesday, that's fine. But really, it's not like it's pre-emergent or anything, right? So I would give it a couple of days if I could, Todd. I'd give it a couple of days because that way, when you go through and you injure the turf through the aeration process, you're going to be more likely to damage and kill the weeds. You want to give them enough time to absorb the herbicide prior to aerating. So I'd give it a couple of days. I say the same rule that applies for mowing. Give it a few days after applying it. Same thing would apply for aeration. So hope that helps. Guys, on the topic of top dressing, I got to show you guys something cool here. I'm going to show you guys on the topic of mowers. And we'll get through one of the things I want to talk about. So Rusty's Creations sent me some pictures of a mower that he created. And I told everyone I would show it off because it's really awesome. So check this out. This is like it's almost like a steampunk mower. If you had to put a picture on it. But look, check that out. I think he's done this on some of the groups too. But that is like a Fiskars that he has turned into an electric mower. So that's picture 1. Check this out. Pick 2. You got it Ryobi powered, which is really cool. And then the next picture here, you can see a side shot. That's pretty clean engineering, man. It's kind of steampunkish. I dig it. It's really cool. You got to put your branding on there, man. You do good work. So yeah, I told him I'd show it off. It's a really cool mower, cool project. He's got to send me a video at some point of it running, so I'll show you guys that too. But I told him I would share that on the live stream because it's really, really cool project. It really shows you with a little bit of ingenuity, a little bit of engineering, what you can put together. So very cool, Rusty. Keep going. Next up is 2 Trilla. He says, happy Friday, everyone. What's going on, 2 Trilla? Thanks for coming to hang out in the live stream. We got McNasty Motorsports. He says, early for once. You're here, man. You're not here. You're not, towards the second half of the show, which is pretty awesome. And then CDog 1499, he says, let's get ready to rumble. All right. Happy Friday, everyone. Yeah, CDog, thanks for coming to hang out. So guys, on the topic of mowers, and this is one of the things I was going to show you guys, but here's the thing. Really, if you're not a subscriber, you're going to miss out on this. But the time has come for some new hardware, for some additional hardware. I'm not gonna tell you guys exactly what it is, but any of you guys that know me can probably have an idea, can probably figure out what it's gonna be. The people that are gonna find out about it first will likely be the people that are in the Lawn Academy, so they'll find out. And then anyone that subscribes to my YouTube stories will also see it. So if you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, do that, and then you'll be able to see on mobile whenever I start showing it off, whenever it shows up. Hopefully by the middle of next week. Hopefully by the middle of next week, Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, it should be here. So so I'm looking forward to it. I think you guys will like it. It's it was a it's a pretty big upgrade. Or I should say big upgrade. It's a different direction than what I am currently doing, but I think it'll make for some cool content. I think you guys will dig it, and it's where everything is eventually going. Hint, hint. So I'm trying to get on board with that. All right, next up is Luis Rodriguez. He says, "Good evening, everyone. What's going on, Luis? Thanks for coming to hang out in the live stream." And then Big Bro says, Jeremy says, "Big Bro, I know you're enjoying those rotary scissors. They are pretty awesome, Jeremy." That's kind of a spoiler, right? But if you want to see, some cool footage of me running the rotary scissors, check out the video that's going to come out tomorrow morning. It's going to go live. It's already done, but it's going to go live tomorrow morning, showing off that being used in the scenarios that I find that those really excel at. Okay, so check that out. It's going to go live early tomorrow morning when you guys wake up. It'll likely be in your feed on the homepage saying, "Hey, Ron has released a video," and you guys will click and watch the entire thing. I'd really appreciate it. So you'll be able to see. All right. Thanks, Jackie Bear. Hope you're doing well, sir. Thanks for coming to hang out. And then next is Troy Ridley. He says, "Hi, Ron. I have to make my own topsoil. The landscaping place I went to only has screened loam or brown masonry sand. I got 2 bags of each to spot top dress the front and mix myself." Yeah, that might be an option. It's if you're doing a small area or doing spot top dressing like what you're talking about, Troy, that's definitely an option. I have never mixed a large amount. Like, in other words, I've never gotten like 3 bags or 3 yards of sand, of masonry sand, and like a yard of compost, and then mix them together. That'd be rough. That'd be a lot of work. You'd almost have to do it a couple of days, maybe the week prior to the actual top dressing, because that in of itself is a ton of work. So for what you're doing though, where you're doing just some spot top dressing, that should be absolutely fine. It's not going to be too bad. And frankly, I don't know that I would have gone through all the trouble of getting like a ton of it brought to your to your house if all you're doing is some spot leveling work. Robbie Marie says, "What's up, Ron? Happy Friday. What's going on, Robbie? Thank you for coming to hang out." And he says, "Ugh, only wish if I only had the big yellow bag mix here." Yeah, man, that Super Sod product is a really good product. I'm a fan of it because it's just clean. Like for someone that top dresses their lawn, at least annually, but more than most, I cannot stress how nice it is to not have to spend a bunch of time getting trash out of the lawn. Because, a lot of these leveling mixes you're going to get a lot of debris, sticks, bark, stones, and you have to get that stuff out of the lawn, especially if you're reel mowing, because it'll tear up your reel and bed knife. You know what I mean? So it's like another step that when you go with the Super Sod mix, you really don't have to deal with that. So for that reason alone, even though it's more expensive, I'm a huge fan of it. Huge fan of it. So, if any of you guys are still looking to top dress your lawn, Super Sod is still running that special where you can, I think you'll save like $10 a bag if you use my discount code, my link. So if you're interested in doing that, I'll post it in the chat. You guys can take advantage of that. So for anyone that still wants to top dress, still plenty of time in the season to do it. Top dressing link. You can use that, and it's a free to support the channel. It doesn't cost you any more, but I get a very small percentage of that. So thanks so much for the support. Okay, next is Z. He's back. He says, "I was doing some manual aerating this past week and hit a patch of rocks about 2 to 4 inches down. Yeah, that's not good. No bueno. Ended up digging up with a wheelbarrow full, a plastic cap, and a cigarette box. LOL. Well, you got your money's worth. Whenever you were digging, you didn't just get like a couple of rocks. You got a bit of everything. And that's the thing, guys. The last year when I was over at Alex's brother-in-law's neighbor, it's a long thing, like my brother's sister's best friend's cousin, right? We were over at his house, and he had an area in the lawn where grass was just thin. It was watering it, he was mowing it, but it just looked thin, looked really weird. And I said, "Man, let's check it with a screwdriver." We got a screwdriver, and literally it went like this much in the soil, like clunk, and it was like poking around. And if you guys want to see what came out, I think I've still got the video somewhere here on the channel. I think it's still on here. You guys can check that out, where you can see what came out of the lawn. It's crazy how common that is. For new construction, unfortunately, a lot of the builders, I guess it's just easier for them just to throw, like, to wash out the concrete, just into the lawn and not get rid of it, versus like cleaning up and conditioning the area really well before putting sod down, and you get the kind of problems like what you're talking about, Z. I'll show you guys the link to that. Yep, I put that here. Trash in lawn video. I mean, obviously, just bookmark that and watch it later. Stick on the live stream. But if you guys want to see what can come out of a lawn, you will like that. Good stuff. Well, I'm glad you found it, man, and glad that you got it all out, which is really cool. Next up, we have Todd saying 6 inches of rain here in Oklahoma from this past Monday through Wednesday. That's awesome. Awesome, Todd. And then Mary J says, hi from Tijuana. Hey, hi, Mary. Thanks for coming to hang out. It's very cool that, the content is having a little more international reach. I mean, Mexico's really close to the United States. It's not super international, but still, I appreciate it. So thanks for coming to hang out in the live stream. Lawn care fans and lawn care people are everywhere, right? Which is really, really cool. Really cool. LG's in the house. Says, hey, Ron Henry. Hey, LG. How you doing, sir? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're getting some good weather up there in the Northwest where you are. So hope all is going well. Next is John Williams. He says, my soil test is in. My pH is a little low, 5.8, and my magnesium is low. So do you carry something for that? Okay, so John, I do carry a product that will help raise pH, but if you, for the fact that your magnesium is also low, you're going to want to go with a dolomitic lime to help bring that up. So the Jonathan Green product is a good product, but if you're really trying to apply a lot of lime those levels, I'd probably go like 20, 30 pounds per 1,000. If you can find a local, your big box store is probably not going to have it, but like a local, like garden store, like a Site One or something like that nearby, or like some kind of landscaping place, they will have dolomitic lime, which is what you're looking for. And that will help raise your pH and also help raise magnesium levels as well. So I can show you in case you feel like supporting the channel and you still feel like going out and getting a bunch, several bags of lime. If you go to the golf course lawn store, actually, let me do this live so you can see it. So you go to the store, go to shop, go to soil test kits and pH adjustment, and you scroll down. And then what you'll want is the black bag of Magical, which will help raise pH. So make sure you read it. This one raises, this one's lower. So this is for alkaline soil. This one is for acidic soil, like what yours is. And this is what you would use on your lawn. All right. I'm not sure if this has magnesium, and if it does, it's going to be a very small amount. Let me see if I can see here on the label. I'm trying to find here. So yeah, so no, yeah. So there's no magnesium from what I'm seeing here in the label on that. It might. Well, let me see here. Wrong spot. Yeah. So a bit of iron, but no magnesium. So yeah. So really, if you're really trying to get something that's going to fit your lawn best, fit your soil best, go with the dolomitic lime. We don't carry it, but I want you to use the best product for your soil, even more so than I want you to buy something from me. So you can use that product; it's going to be fine. But if you can get your hands on a dolomitic lime, that's going to be even that much better. So that's what I'd recommend. Find a local garden store, get that down your lawn, 20 to 30 pounds per 1,000, water it in heavily, and profit. Good stuff. All right, we have another super chat. Let me run down here and grab that really quick from Mr. LG.
Super chat received.
He's happy Friday, Ron. Perfect day in Iowa today. Smash that Tango B. I got you. I can do that for you. And since I think your super chat was higher, you are now the show's sponsor. So you can listen to the little Tango Bolero while I switch you out. All right. So there you go. LG is now the show's sponsor, and I have found where I left off. Aim to please, LG. Hopefully you enjoyed your little Tango Bolero. All right. Next up is Jonathan Daza. He says, Ron, I live in Los Angeles and I have tall type fescue. I sent you an email in regards to my lawn. How do you treat hot spots? I have manually aerated and added hydrotain to help. What else can I do? Thank you. I do have your email pulled up here, Jonathan. I haven't written you a response yet, but I do have it. I think if the person I'm thinking about, who's also from LA and has some areas in the lawn where it looks like the lawn looks dry to me for what I'm seeing. And then yeah, you're the same person. So I'm not. You didn't say. I know you said you're putting down an inch of water. You did the tuna can test, but it looks like I would check to make sure when your irrigation is running, that those areas that are dry are getting water, because the pattern that I saw, it looks like if this is your lawn, it's all, and this is the sidewalk, it almost looks like a slight curve, a slight arch to it, right? Almost like when the irrigation is running, it's not really getting water in the area where you're having the localized dry spot areas. Next thing you can do is just add some water, just do some supplemental watering yourself. Get out there with a garden hose, put some water down on it. Hydrotain is also great. That's going to help as well too. But we just got to get some water on the lawn. The thing to keep in mind too, with you being in LA, it's hot. That's the weather is temperature's hotter there. So fescue we're entering into the time of year when fescue does struggle more than it would have, say, a month ago, right, or 2 months ago. So check your irrigation. Even though you said you're watering enough, you're putting out an inch of water, make sure that that water is actually getting to those areas that I saw in those pictures that looked a bit dry, because the pattern is so how can I say this? The pattern, there's a pattern to it. It's not like just like localized dry spots that are sporadic throughout the lawn. It looks almost like irrigation that's not hitting that area to me. So hope that helps. Outside of that, outside of the hydrotain, just do some spot watering in that area if that's if to see if that helps. But also realize we're also going into a time of year when that type of grass tends to struggle. Like the local churches around here that have fescue, they are going to be running. They have a pond, but they're going to be running irrigation every day to keep that happy. So there is that to also consider as well too, given that we're getting into the hotter time of the year. All right, next up is Mac042. He says, good evening and thanks for all your help with Bermuda sod. Tifway 419 is doing well 2 weeks in. Question, when do I put down the carbon kit? Whenever you want, Mac. So if you have brand new sod, you can do the carbon kit the day you install the new sod. There's no issue with doing that whatsoever. Especially if you're using the Release 0 version of it, the Release 901C version of the carbon kit. I might just back the rate down a little bit, go again closer to that 2 ounce rate for the 901C if you don't want to add nitrogen to brand new sod. But if you're using the carbon kit that has Release 0 in it, you're putting in I'll tell you exactly how much what you're putting in. Really, the only NPK that you're putting down is in the NutriCalc product. So you're putting down 1% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus, and 4% potassium. So all good stuff for brand new grass. It's not enough to damage or burn the lawn. I would get it down. I would absolutely put it down. There's no reason to hold back on that at all. So good stuff. Congrats on the new Tifway, on the new lawn. And yeah, I would apply your carbon kit. I'll get that down. Next up is Austin. I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to try it. Austin Ostreicher. I think Ostreicher. I'm going to say Ostreicher. I'm going to try. Try my best. Because my soil test said I need a 10 fertilizer for my Bermuda. Do I only use that until the next soil test says different? So what I would do, here's the thing. Until I see your results, Austin, without seeing your results, it's difficult to tell you how long to use it. Really, a 10, I would use that until the phosphorus levels came up. So if your phosphorus levels were just a little bit low, you could use a 10 for 2 months or so. And then if you wanted to switch to something to a fertilizer that was devoid of phosphorus, you could do that. So if you wanted to use like a flagship or some other X0X fertilizer, that would be fine too. So for me, how long you apply that really comes down to how phosphorus deficient your soil is. That's what I would use as the decision maker as far as how long I applied that particular fertilizer. Because the rest of it, the nitrogen and the potassium, you can get that in a host of other products. But the 10, that's going to contain the phosphorus that the other fertilizers that I'm talking about are not going to contain. So hope that helps. If you want to, you can send me an email with your soil test results here to ron@golfcourselawn.com. I'll take a look at it and I'll tell you then how long I would run that 10 for. But a couple of months is what I would say. A couple of months, and then if you want to reassess at that point, you can. Good stuff. Good stuff. Next up is Jeff Ruby. He says, hey, Ron, I have a 27-inch true cut and needing to lube the chain and grease the mower. What lube and grease would you recommend, and how often would you apply it? So the chain, That's actually the only failure I've ever had with a True Cut, Jeff, was the second year when I had it. The end of the first year I put it up and I didn't like winterize it or anything. I didn't like put any lubricant on the chain before putting it up, and then I took it out the next season and just started mowing with it. So don't do that. So I'd say as far as the motorcycle spray, every couple of weeks is a good idea, especially if you are mowing like how I mow, which is early in the morning when there's a little bit more moisture. So every couple of weeks is when I would do that. As far as the grease points, once a month is sufficient. You really don't need to do much more than that. The True Cut, for the most part, is a fairly maintenance-free mower. Outside of that motorcycle chain lube, every couple of weeks, if you're mowing in the morning, if you're not really mowing in the morning or you're mowing primarily on dry turf, once a month, you can do them both at the same time. You can spray the chain and hit your grease points at the same time. As far as as far as the chain lube, I would use motorcycle. I would use the kind of lube that's designed for motorcycles, like motorcycle chains. That's what I would use on it. That's what I use on mine. As far as grease, I have a grease from Toro, but it's like I don't know. Just go to your local. It's not really that picky. It doesn't really. I don't think it really matters. I just have a heavy grease that I got from it comes in the tube. I have a grease gun. I don't have a particular brand of grease that I went with. It's one I have is from Toro. So I can't show you now because it's in the grease gun right now. It would make a mess to do it. What I would say is call your local, your local Howard Brothers or your local company that sells and or services True Cuts or just real mowers in general, and ask them what grease they'd recommend. And they're probably gonna recommend one they sell, but they'll be able to tell you one that they would use. It's not terribly picky, but I would just ask them. The one I have is the one from Toro, which I'm sure someone makes that for Toro. I don't know who, I don't know what the formulation of that grease is, but that's what I run in all my mowers. Hope that helps. Great stuff. Next up is R. Reed. He says, "Hey Ron, how's it going? How's everybody else doing? I'm doing well, man. I can't complain. Cannot complain. I'm happy. We finally got some rain in the lawn. The lawn is a lot happier. Is much, 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 much happier. The grass is much happier. If you guys want to see what it looks like, the intro to the video that's going live tomorrow morning is from a couple days ago when I took a pan of the lawn. That's when I took that portion and inserted into the video for the rotary scissors. So if you want to see the opening scene, is what the lawn looks like as of like 2 days ago. So yeah, it looks. I'm happy about that, and happy about the new hardware, man. I'm happy to try out a new adventure. No equipment currently is going away. We'll see. We'll assess at the end of the season what I end up keeping, what I end up going, what ends up staying, what ends up going. But if you guys want to see what it's going to be, hang out and watch the YouTube stories the middle of the week. That's when it's going to be. That's when you'll find out about it. Being a subscriber helps with being notified for that. Or you can always just wait until I make some content on it, which I will at some point. May not be next week, but someone do a nice job on it. But yeah, if you guys care about that, be sure to be subscribed to the channel. Okay, next up is Keith McGuire. Keith says, "Hey Ron, this is my first time seeing you live. Welcome, Keith. Thanks for coming to hang out. I appreciate it." And he says, "I'm in Centerville, Georgia. What should I start with if I have a new homeowner, lots of shade, 4 hours of sun between 10 to 3 p.m. Keith, man, that's going to be a struggle, Keith. So you didn't tell me what kind of grass you have, but I hope you're going to tell me that it's not Bermuda. Really, 4 hours of sunlight, even zoysia is going to have some trouble with that. If you have, I don't know what kind of grass you have, but if you have Bermuda and it's thin, I wouldn't be surprised by that. If there's anything you can do to help get some more light on the grass, that's going to be the big thing I would tell you. So yeah, I mean, outside of that, yes, get a soil test done, fertilize according to the soil test, mow your lawn a lot, control weeds using the herbicides that match the weeds that you have. But if we're really getting down to the fundamentals of getting your grass to really do well, to really thrive, the first thing you told me, which is you're only having 4 hours of sunlight, is something we're going to want to address. I would imagine that that's coming from trees, because I can't see why your house would block out that much sunlight that you only get 4 hours, unless your houses are really close together. So that's thing one. That's the thing I would focus on first. If there's a way for you to open up the canopy, get some more direct light on the lawn, that's going to make a huge difference, because it's going to make everything else that we do work better. You know what I mean? What's going to happen if you don't do that is you're going to get a soil test, you're going to fertilize the lawn, you're going to mow it, and it's just never going to really do well, because grass needs sunlight. It needs a lot of direct sunlight. So that would be my homework for you, is to look into ways of increasing the amount of light that's getting on the lawn. You're still early in the live streams. If you want to follow up with letting me know, hey, there's no way I can do that, or this is what I'm dealing with, and here, what do you recommend as far as methods for doing that? I'll revisit it. But that's gonna be my big thing for you as far as on the journey of getting an amazing lawn, is increasing the amount of light that you can put on the lawn. Outside of that, you're going to be like how a lot of the homes in Buckhead are. Like a lot of those homes in, where they have these neighborhoods with these really huge trees, really large established trees. They have a lot of those guys are running fescue for their lawns. They have a fescue grass because it's not really getting beat up by the sun, because there's literally this huge canopy that's shading the grass, and fescue does fairly well in those conditions, whereas Bermuda or Zoysia will not. So hope that helps. If you can give me a little more detail around what you're dealing with as far as what's causing the shade, I'll try to help you out some more, but that's the big thing. We got to increase the amount of sunlight that your grass is getting. All right, next up is A Bear. He says, can I put Primo and Fert down at the same time? You absolutely can, A Bear. I do it all the time. As a matter of fact, rumor has it that Ron Henry is known to mix Primo Max and fertilizer in the same batch and spray them at the same time. So yeah, you absolutely can do that. I actually recommend doing that. There's lots of benefits to doing it. One, it saves you time, and it also helps to reduce the very mild yellowing that you can get that's temporary when you use plant growth regulator, by incorporating a liquid fert that has a bit of nitrogen, a bit of iron in it. So a couple of options for that. So I'm not sure if you have one that you like already, A Bear, but I'll give you some options. I'll give you two. So we'll go back to the golf course lawn store, and you will click on shop and lawn fertilizer, which is like the favorite category that everybody loves. Everyone loves. All right. So, and it's already it's gone. So I was going to tell you Turfplex, but now it's sold out. It wasn't sold out before the show, but now it's sold out. So there goes that one. So your other option is to use what I'm doing this year, which is to use 901C, right? Which is this is essentially release zero with fertilizer in it, and then mix that with that Nutrizolve. So this we have plenty of. Like this one you can buy pretty much at any time. We shouldn't really run out of release zero or release 901C. Nutrizolve, this is limited. There's not that much of that in the store. Like I'd be surprised if we made it through the weekend and not run out again. So if you're looking for a good combination to use with Primo that I've been using on my lawn with great results, that combination, the 901C and Nutrizolve, is exactly what I'm doing this season. Another option, whenever it comes back in stock, is Turfplex, because that way you only have to buy one product, because you get the nitrogen and iron all in one. But then there's a lot of benefits to 901C that you don't get in Turfplex. So either way, multiple ways to go about it. So if you're looking for an option, that is what I would recommend. So hope that helps. I absolutely do it all the time, and I highly recommend doing it because there's lots of benefits to it. Next up is Robbie Marie. He says, I added 2 yards of pH balanced dairy manure to the yard. Some areas, it's about 3 to 4 inches thick, 2 C's, thick, raising the yard level. How much is too much? Planning on adding St. Augustine sod on top later this year. Is that okay? 3 to 4 inches is a lot, Robbie. If you really put down, 4 inches of, what do you use, manure? That's quite a bit. If it's, I'm trying to understand, do you have grass now, or is it literally just a brand new lawn and you're putting this down to just do your prep work to lay the St. Augustine sod later this year? If it's just to do the prep work, then it doesn't really matter. You're not submerging, or you're not choking the grass out. The only concern I would have with going that heavy is if you got really heavy rainfall and the lawn is not level, you might have a bit of it shifting around. But if you are putting that down and then you are, you're rolling it in, compacting it, just getting it to really settle in, you should be fine, especially if you're planning to do the St. Augustine later. You didn't say when. You said if you're planning to do the St. Augustine at some point throughout this growing season, I imagine during the summer months, you should be okay. But I'd want to make sure that's settled a bit. I would not, because 3 to 4 inches, believe it or not, as much as you might think that you have compressed it, it's going to need some time to really settle out. What you don't want to go do is do that and then go throw the St. Augustine down on it like next week. And then what you're going to end up having to do on top of that is level it. If your goal is to have a level lawn, if your goal is just to feed the soil, you did a great job doing that. But if your goal is to come out of this thing with a lawn that has some semblance of being level, you really want to get it settled and then correct small areas along the way as part of your process before you put the St. Augustine sod down. So Hope that helps. 3 to 4 inches is a lot, man. I would never top dress an active lawn that much, but it sounds like your lawn is not, there's no lawn there yet. So you're probably going to be fine. All right, next up is Jason Sitter. He says, hey, Ron, I leveled the lawn yesterday with super sod. It poured today and noticed some spots I need to fix again. Sand is holding up good in some spots. I will go over again with the leveling rake. Yeah, you absolutely should be doing that, Jason. So the thing is, when it comes to leveling a lawn, getting the sod, getting the leveling mix down, that's just job one. So when you get out there and you're sweating with all your buddies and you guys are, cursing and having a great time and being mad, but at the same time, at the end, you look at the lawn, it's like, oh, wow, it looks awesome, it looks fairly level. That's really just the beginning. If you really want the best result, every day you're going to want to get out there with a leveling rake and just drag it. You don't need to even work it in. Literally, you can just lay it down. You can have a cup of lemonade or your beverage of choice and just drag the rake with one hand all across the lawn, make a pass all across the lawn, and that's going to really help expose the grass tips, the grass blades. It's going to help the leveling mix settle. So that's a big thing, and it's also going to help prevent you from getting runoff whenever you get a heavy rain. I don't know how heavy you went down, but it sounds like you had some of it move around, which is not abnormal, but ensuring that you are regularly out there, I recommend daily, with that leveling rig to help work that material in, is really going to speed up how quickly the lawn recovers and how quickly you can get there and mow it and just start really enjoying it again. Good job going with the super sod. Makes this a great product. Again, not cheap, but like anything else in life, right? If it's if something's really good, there's no reason for them to sell it at a bargain, right? It wasn't the Joker. The Joker said, if you're really good at something, never do it for free. So there you go. Super sod ascribes to that, apparently. All right, next up is Timothy Smith. He says, hey, Ron and all, no questions tonight. Just enjoying the great, as always, live stream. My grass loved the water in Georgia. The lawn is on fire. I know, right, man? It's looking good. I would like to show you guys a picture. I don't think if I transfer that video over, show you guys the video of what the grass looks like. Granted, you guys can wait till tomorrow to see it, but I know how you guys can be kind of demanding. So let me see if I can actually make this happen. So if I can make this happen, I'm gonna transfer it over, and we'll see if I can show you guys what the lawn looks like. What the lawn looks like. Actually, looking at my phone, this video is actually from yesterday. It's funny, whenever I do content, it's always like in pieces. Like I'll film part of it, like a lot of the B-roll and the dialogue over the weekend, and then throughout the week, I'll find different shots that I want to get and add those as filler. So it's hard to know exactly when I put the entire thing together. But this one that you'll see in the video tomorrow morning apparently was from yesterday. So if you take a look at this, this is how Ron's lawn looks as of yesterday. So this was after all the rain happened. I mowed it early this morning, so it's looking a little scraggly right now. Don't throw tomatoes at me. But as you can see, it really liked that drink of water that it got. All that rainwater, it's really done well with it. So loving it, right? Loving it. Great stuff. Great stuff. Glad that we finally got some water in Georgia, Timothy, which is nice. Nice for a change, right? All right, next up is Smoking Legs. Awesome handle, by the way. He says, ready to spray Primo Max. I usually spray at 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet. How much max would I put into 2 gallons? Currently cutting bent grass at 1/2 inch. Okay, so the rate would still, I'm not sure what the rate is for bent grass. I can look it up here really quick. I don't know what the bent grass rate is, but we can find out. So the long short of it is Smoking Legs. It doesn't, whatever that you're using for the carrier. So I normally go 1 gallon per 1,000. You're doing 2 gallons per 1,000. So you still use the per 1,000 square foot rate. It's just going to take you're just going to be spraying out a lot more liquid to get it down. So let me see what bent grass shows here on the label. That is not a common one that I normally get. Zoysias I normally know off the top of my head. Bent grass, it is saying so 3/4 of an ounce. So 0.75 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So in your case, you've got 2 gallons of water. You're going to put in 0.75. So what that looks like is, I'll pull this off. I can actually demo it for you here really quick. If it's your first time doing it, you want to go a little bit lighter Smoking Legs, you can do that. But if you're using the Fancy Nancy measuring cup that's built into the container, what I would just do is squeeze this until you get all the way up to 0.5. And this is easier when the cap's not on. You could literally would have done this with one squeeze if there's no cap. So I would go up to there, like about so, for your first pour, right? And then, so I can simulate it and show you guys that, pour that in the backpack sprayer. and then go up to 0.25. So right about, actually right there. That's a little bit heavy pour. That don't go that quite that heavy, but between 0.3 and 0.2, that's 0.25, close enough for government work anyway. That goes in your sprayer with the 2 gallons of water that you're going to spray over 1,000 square feet. If you want to back the rate down a little bit the first time you're doing it, that's fine too. But the label calls for 0.75, so if you want to go with that rate, should be fine too. And yeah, liquid and using FERT along with it is a great idea. So hope that helps. Again, 2 gallons of water over 1,000 square feet. 0.75 is what the rate for bent grass is per the label. So that is what I would add for your lawn. Great stuff. All right. Next up is John Williams. He says, hey, N and K are low and S2. What can I do to raise S, or do I need to worry about that one? Yes, look for fertilizers like Cubic Max has some sulfur in it, but we can't get that anymore, right? Or it's not right now anyway. But look on a lot of the on the fertilizer you're using, John. Some of them will also have a little bit of sulfur in it. Sulfur is not something I would necessarily chase directly. You know what I mean? It's, if you can find a fertilizer that it's listed there on the bag. Focus on the N and K, on your nitrogen and potassium, more so than sulfur. Yes, it's great if you can get some of that as well too, along with the fertilizer you're putting down. But what's making a bigger difference in the quality of your soil are the macros, like the nitrogen and the potassium. Like that's going to be, you see a much bigger response or benefit from improving those levels than you will from improving your S levels. So hopefully that helps, sir. Not something that I would chase directly. I would get it as like an ancillary along with whatever fertilizer you happen to be putting down. Hope that helps. All right, next up is Tom Hoffenkamp. Says, hello, Ron, and all golf course lawn fans worldwide. Yes, welcome, everybody. He says, does prodiamine always cause my turf to slow growth after application? It seems like I get 2 weeks of a slowing period. Not really, Tom. It shouldn't. The one thing you tend to find is most people usually apply prodiamine either when the lawn is coming out of dormancy or about to come out of dormancy, or before it's going into dormancy. Both times a year when the grass is not growing that aggressively. So I wouldn't say that like correlation doesn't mean causation. I wouldn't say that because the grass seems to be growing slower because of the prodiamine application that the prodiamine is causing that. I've never heard of a prodiamine causing it having any kind of growth regulation properties to it, at least when it's applied at the rates per the label. So it's likely just that your lawn, whatever grass type you have, is just waking up, which I'm not sure what kind of grass you have. But and that's maybe what you're seeing, but it's in itself should cause your grass to grow slower than it normally does. So hope that helps. If you have any other questions, let me know. I appreciate the shout out, and thank you for the thumbs up, Don McFarlane. Appreciate all the love and support. Really do appreciate that. And another question I got that in email that I said I would discuss on the live stream as well was around acelepryn. So some of the viewers have asked, hey, in the video that I did on acelepryn where I talk about applying it in April and May, is it going to be too late to apply it in June? No, you can apply acelepryn either in liquid or granular form, throughout most of the growing season. You know what I mean? It's the benefit of doing it early is you apply it early in the season and you get coverage for the most part all season long. But there's nothing that says you can't apply either liquid or granular acelepryn this time of year. No problems with that whatsoever. So I said I would address it on the live stream. It's been addressed. You can still apply acelepryn. No issues with that whatsoever. Next up is Keith McGuire. He says, what should people start with on a new lawnmower? My first time on. Great question, Keith. So the thing I would say is the type of lawnmower you choose is really based on, one, the grass type you have, and then also the kind of results that you are after, and then thirdly, the amount of time you have to get those results. So if you have a Bermuda lawn, like let's just say we could wave a magic wand, you have a Bermuda lawn, and you, the next question is, do you have the time to use the type of mower that really is the best type of mower for that particular grass type? So if you have a Bermuda lawn, you say, hey, listen, I only got time to mow once a week. I just want the grass to look decent. I'm not really going to try to get out there and spend a ton of time on the lawn. In that case, I'm going to say, get yourself a nice, a quality rotary mower, a Toro, a Honda, one of those. and enjoy life. Mow your lawn once a week. It's going to look decent, and go from there. If you decide that you want like an ornamental type lawn, it's a phrase I stole from Roland from the guy at Owlet. If you want like a lawn that's more of a golf course lawn type look, that fairway, the lawn that really has that wow factor, that's going to require real mower. And by a real mower, that's the mowers that you see if you watch my channel or watch my content. The cylinder mower, the mower, it has like a rotating blades in the front of it. That really is the best type of mower for Bermuda. But then there's also the third part of this equation, right? It's like the triforce of like what mower should you buy. So for the correct grass type, and then your first of all the kind of grass you have, and then choosing the right mower for that grass type, and then also the third one, it's really probably the most important, is how much time do you have? Because if you decide you're going to go with a real mower, that's going to be twice a week mowing. Like this time of year until August, late August, early September, you got to get there twice a week. So once on the weekend, at least once during the week, to have the lawn look decent with a real mower. Again, if that's not doable, then a rotary is where you want to be. And there's nothing wrong with a rotary. Like there's a lot of people that cut Bermuda with rotary mowers and they look great. You look at BYD's lawn, it looks really good, and his lawn is cut exclusively with a rotary mower. So it largely depends on you. I would say that if you're going to get into real mowing, what I tell people is, if you want to start out with a manual reel mower, assuming your lawn is not huge, just to see if it's something that you can do you can tolerate as far as getting out there every couple of days and mowing it, that's a good way to go. And if you decide, okay, yes, I've done the rotary, the manual reel mower for a month or two, I'm ready to go full tilt, and you're trying to move into a powered reel mower, then choose one based on what you can get worked on in your area. So if you're in Georgia, like my area, you can pretty much buy whatever you want. You get a True Cut, you get a Toro, you get whatever you want, because there's someone around here that can fix it. But if that's not the case, you live in a part of the country where perhaps it's only a McLean area, or there's only a True Cut area, or there's only a John Deere area. You want to pick your reel mower based on where you can get parts for it and who can service it. With all that aside, I'm a big fan of buying the best mower that your budget will allow you that you can afford. Here's why. Mowing is single-handedly the most important thing, or regular mow is the most important thing to having a great lawn. So the thing that we are doing the most of, we want to do as correctly as possible with the best, as good equipment as we possibly can. In other words, I would rather you buy a cheaper backpack sprayer or a cheaper broadcast spreader and put more money into a quality mower than the other way around. Because the broadcast spreader you're going to use once a month, the backpack sprayer if you're doing what I'm doing, you're going to use it like twice a month. But the mower you're going to use literally several times per week. So the thing that you're going to use the most, you want to make sure it's a good piece of equipment, quality piece of equipment, and hopefully I gave you some ideas, some guidance around how to choose a mower based on your time, budget, your desire to mow, all those things. There's a lot that goes into that. You know what I mean? I can't just tell you real mower because that's not for everybody. But if everything that I said as far as having the time to do it, the desire to do it, and all those things, then a real mower is a great option. Your grass, nothing's going to look better. Your turf is not going to look better with anything else than a real mower, especially if you have like a creeping lawn like Bermuda, zoysia, any of the shorter grasses. A real mower is just next level stuff. All right, next up is Kevin D. Jones. Kevin, being a little hooligan in the live stream, saying, I have pounded the like button while mowing and treating dollar spot. Wow, that's not good. So you're getting some propiconazole down, Kevin, I imagine. Sorry you're dealing with a dollar spot. That's never fun. But I appreciate you pausing between the spraying and mowing to give me a like. Really do appreciate the support, sir. It's always a good time. Hey guys, so one of the things I wanted to get to, and I'm gonna do it here in the live stream, is we're gonna figure out for any of you guys that are in here. I saw Luis Rodriguez in here, and some of you other guys that are like turf care professionals. There's a couple of weeds that some viewers have sent me, and I've labeled them Mystery Weed 1 and Mystery Weed 2. So Mystery Weed 1, Chad thinks this is like no, not that one. He thinks this is like a bent grass, like some kind of wild creeping bent grass. Any of you guys think you know what that is, want to weigh in, leave that, drop a message in the chat, what you guys think that weed is. It's not weed, or whatever that particular grass, or I guess it's technically weed because he wants it gone, is in the chat. So that's weed 1. The second one, mystery weed number 2, you guys let me know what you guys think this is. I showed this to a couple of my buddies that spray lawns, and they're like, man, I don't know what it is, but I wouldn't have to go up against that. One of them actually went off and said that I don't think there's anything I have on my truck that will kill that. It looks like some kind of like field grass weed or something like that. I've never seen anything like this in any Bermuda or Zoysia lawn, but if any of you guys happen to know what that is, feel free to weigh in the chat and let me know if you guys have thoughts on it. So again, to recap, weed 1 and then weed 2. So weigh in on what you guys think those are if you happen to know. If you happen to know. All right, next up is Chris Ferguson. He says, my NP and the K are very low, but my iron, sodium, zinc, and manganese are high. So the micros are a little bit high and the macros are low. Okay. What can I do to bring up the NPK and also help lower the others? I got my soil sample from Yard Mastery. So I would not really worry too much about that. I mean, what you can do if you want to not put any micronutrients in, that's pretty easy. Just get a balanced fertilizer, like a starter fertilizer, like the Yard Mastery Triple 12. Maybe not that one because that has all of the micros in it as well. So I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Chris, I'll show you. So as far as raising your NPK, this is a great product, but it also has 3% iron and it has manganese, zinc, boron, copper. It has a little bit of everything, right? Like a little bit of everything for the soil. This is a great product. Here's the thing: the micros are in such small quantities, hence the name micros, that I really wouldn't worry about it. I mean, I haven't seen your soil test results, but I mean, I have yet to see a lawn that I've come across anyway that has had it's caused a bunch of problems by having elevated amounts of those levels. Now, if you have like really, really high amounts of iron, what you'll find is the grass will get really, really green and then will turn dark, like almost blackish or to like a purplish color. If your grass isn't doing that, the small amount of iron that's in this product is not going to cause that to happen. You should be just fine. Just apply it at the recommended rate, 3 pounds per thousand. That is going to help raise your NPK levels, which is what the thing you're really worried about, and also add trace amounts of the micros. So that is what I would go with. But if you're really hardcore that you don't want to add any micronutrients, then just go to like your local garden store or big box store and see if any of them have a balanced fertilizer, like a triple 12, triple 10, something along those lines to help target the NPK. That's the thing you should focus on. The NPK is the most important part. Adding a little bit of extra micros is not really going to matter. The thing that's really going to improve the quality of your grass, your soil, and then by extension the grass is getting the macro levels higher. So that's what I'd really focus on more so than avoiding adding a little bit more micronutrient, if that makes sense. Great stuff. Good job on getting a soil test, by the way. And you saying, is green pop an option? Will that help the lawn absorb the iron and micros? I need to look up what's in green pop. I don't know that one off the top of my head. I'm not really familiar with a lot of the Green County fertilizers because I don't use them. So off the top of my head, I don't remember what the formulation of that one is. But again, here's what I would not do. I would not get out there and go apply ironite or go apply a product that has a large amount of iron. What's that one fertilizer? It's like Feature or something like that, like fertilizers that just have 5% iron or like a higher amount. I wouldn't do that. Like I wouldn't go out and look for more iron, but a small amount is not gonna cause you any issues. Again, the big thing that you really should be focusing on is raising the NPK levels. The micros, adding a little bit more of those, really immaterial. Like that's not going to make as much of a difference as getting your NPK levels up. That's what I would really spend my time focusing on. Good stuff. But again, good job getting the soil test done. Next is John Williams. He says, wrong one. He says, my packages look bad too. I'm thinking at the same time they must throw these boxes around like it's crazy. Yeah, dude, here's the thing. I've watched FedEx deliver stuff to my house and I don't get it. Like they take it out of the truck and I've watched it because I watched them on camera do it. They'll walk up literally and they'll come to the patio and they'll bring the box, no matter what it is, to like about just below chest height and then just drop it. They'll go and just go bang and just drop it. Like I got some Advion in, right? Some Advion fire ant bait. And thank goodness it's this, because this you're not going to really break. I mean, unless you're dropping it from 20 feet, you might damage the bottle. But if it were a liquid product, it would have totally ruptured. It would have caused it to possibly cause it to the bottle to break, right? So in general, they are a bit harder on packages than I would like. However, if you play devil's advocate, if your job was to try and get as many packages throughout the day as you could, I realize why these guys and gals are really just ripping and running and trying to get it down, make sure they drop the right package at the right house, and then on to the next one. So I understand it, but when I have to watch it on camera, I do wish they would take a bit more care. So I feel you, John. You and I are here on that one. All right, next up, Clayton Gueves. Clayton is chiming in on Paco's question about a fertilizer that is a bit more economical. He says, I used a Sunnyland 24011 exclusively last year and now use it on my backyard, Humic Max on the front yard. The Sunnyland is a good fertilizer at a great price if you can find it. So there you go. You have someone that is endorsing a fertilizer that they have actually used themselves and have had good results with. So there you go, Paco. There's an option for you as far as a quality fertilizer that's not gonna break the bank. Not gonna break the bank. All right, next question up. Next we have here is Noe Guerrero Sanchez. He says, would it be okay to apply a 20-0-0 at the beginning of the season and possibly a 10-10 throughout the season? Could be no. The way to know that is to with a soil test result is by getting a soil test. Like this is going to, by getting one of these done, they're super easy to use. All you need is the soil test kit and then a probe of some sort to collect the cores. What this is going to do, you're going to collect cores, send them out. In about a week, you're going to get an email from the nice folks at MySoil saying, hey, No Sanchez, this is what's going on with your soil. This is the fertilizer we would recommend to help improve the quality of your soil. And then maybe the 20-0-0 and the 10-10 would be the right fit. But without having the data, I'd just be guessing. I'd be just saying, yeah, I mean, it might be okay. Honestly, if you're not fertilizing your lawn based on a soil test, the 10-10 I would be more inclined to do. The 20-0-0, which is, it's quite a bit of nitrogen and not much else, I would be less likely to put that down than I would like a balanced fert. But the best answer really is get a soil test. So the one, you can find those really easy. I'll show you. Go to golfcourselawn.store, and we have a very carefully prepared section in the menu called soil testing. So you go here, and then the kit that I would recommend for someone that's just starting out that doesn't have the probe, you only have to buy this guy once. These guys are super over-engineered. You're never going to replace this. You shouldn't replace it. Is this one, the starter pack, the starter kit. This one here, it comes with one probe and then one soil test kit. If you want to have two for the year, to do one now, one at the end of the year, you can go ahead and get the Pro Pack, which again also includes the probe, the collect the core tool, saves you a bit of money over the starter pack. So either one of these are what I would recommend going with. It only takes a week. Given the price of fertilizer and just lawn care products in general, I would want to ensure that what I'm putting on the lawn or in the soil is something it actually needs. So I'd highly recommend if you are willing to do it, get a soil test done, then come back and either email it to me or come back on the live stream. Well, email it to me because I don't do them live on the live stream because I don't have the test in front of me normally. But email it to me if you need help. You can send it here to ron@golfcourselawn.com, and I will do my best to help you out. So hope that helps, sir. And if you need anything else, let me know in the chat. All right, next up is Brew Cruise Fishing. He says, 91 people in the chat and 18 likes. Come on, man. Guys, exit the chat, tap the like, and then come back into the chat. Cheers. I appreciate it, Brew Cruise Fishing. I don't know if it really works that way, but I do appreciate the love and support. And I do appreciate the likes, guys. It really does help. It really does help out. So a couple other points that I had. So we've covered the fact that Essential G is back in stock. Get that. We've covered the fact that Nutrisolve is back in stock, so get that, because Nutrisolve, there really is a limited amount of that. So you want to get that if you need it, because I'm not sure we're going to get more in again once it sells out yet again. But also what I had for you guys is there was a question that I had from a couple of weeks ago that had a question about chamber bitter, about getting rid of chamber bitter in their lawn. And they asked about the rate, if Celsius can be used for that. And the answer is yes. So what I'm talking about is, switch over to the ACAM, is Celsius WG. This will take chamber bitter, but you need to apply it at the high rate. So look at the label. The high rate is, I made a note here, is 3.2 grams per 1,000 square feet. So you got to use a measuring cup. Make sure you use the right amount with water, with a surfactant. And it may take, the label does say it may take a couple of applications, but this mix, when used with a surfactant, will also take care of chamber bitter. So that was a question I had from a couple of weeks ago that I was supposed to help out with. And I never got a chance to do it because last week you guys had a bunch of other questions. So I wanted to I had that on my docket to do today. So that one is done. The next one is for creeping bent grass. Tenacity at a higher rate if it's cool season grass, 3.2 grams per 1,000 square feet per the label. So if you have cool season grass, I think it was the gentleman, I think it was Chad, the same person that asked about this. Maybe it's this one. Yes, no, not that one. This guy. I believe this one, if it's creeping bent grass, which he thinks that is, if you want to get rid of that, I believe it's Celsius at the higher rate, or tenacity if it's cool season grass. So either one of those will target that. So hope that helps. There's questions that I said I would answer and it took me 2 weeks, but I carved out some time since we're a little bit slower on questions tonight, which is good. I might be able to get out of here a little early. We'll see, maybe. But yeah, so we are all covered on that. So so whoever asked those questions, you now got them in the answer in the live stream. I appreciate the no, thanks so much for that. I really appreciate it. And then Todd Hickey says, it looks like, I wonder if this is the Todd Hickey that I know. Well, I know Troy Hickey, but maybe this is a different one, different guy that I'm thinking about. He says, it looks like this weekend is time for Humic Max, Turfplex, and T-Nex. Not intuitive to put this all down at once. Any concerns? Not really. So like you, I'm going to be doing my fertilizer app. This is the beginning, it's the end of this month, beginning of June. So this weekend, Todd, much like you, I'm going to be doing Humic Max, because I've got like 2 bags left. That's all I've got. I can't get any more. I'm just like you guys, right? I'm in the same boat. We're switching to something else here soon, or trying to find some other Lebanon fertilizer around here locally if I can get my hands on it. But yes, Humic Max will go down, and here's how I'd recommend doing that. So let's go through that. I've covered this in videos, but it's worth repeating. So one, you have to go look at the videos, and it saves you time. So if you're going to do this, I would do Humic Max. You could do Humic Max and Turfplex and T-Nex all on the same day. No issues with that whatsoever. What I would recommend doing, though, is waiting until the following day to run your irrigation to water the Humic Max in. So if you're going to put your fertilizer down at 3 pounds per 1,000, which is the rate for Humic Max, or if you're using the flagship, 2 pounds per 1,000. And so get that done first, and then you can follow that up with Turfplex and your Turfplex and T-Nex or Primo Max, Primo Max blend. And you can do those after doing your granular fert application. Just give it a day. Give the foliar app, which is your liquid fert and T-Nex, ample time to dry on the grass. Really, for those products, if you have 4 hours, you're good to go. You really don't need to wait till the next day. But I tell people if they can, do them all same day and then wait till the following day to run irrigation. That is what I do. That's what I've done. I don't know, for years now. I do my granulars on, for granulars and liquid same day, and I wait till the following day to run irrigation. And that's served me very, very well. So hope that helps. There's not really any cause for concern. The only thing I would say, Todd, is make sure that, you know this already, but your backpack sprayer, if you've never used it before, calibrate it. And, because that's really the only the only question mark in this whole thing that can throw a wrench in it, right? If you get out there and you mix up 4 gallons of Turfplex and Primo, so enough for 4,000 square feet. If you're applying it the way that I suggest you apply it, and then you go apply that over 1,000 square feet, that's not going to be good, right? You're not going to get a good result if you do that. So the only question mark really is the liquids applications, and really that it's not hard, but as long as you are ensuring your backpack sprayer is calibrated, your walking pace, that you are in fact putting down the products at the correct rate, no issues or concerns whatsoever. That's exactly what I do. I'm going to be doing it again this weekend. All right, next up is Salvador L. He says, fellow Dallas-Fort Worth resident here. We need a Ron Henry here. You got me there. It's the same difference. I mean, what difference is it of me living in Dallas-Fort Worth or living in Northeast Georgia? It's the same thing. Same thing, right? I mean, you have me on the live stream. You have me in the comments for YouTube videos. Same thing. No difference, no big difference. So you're good to go. I mean, unless you happen to be my neighbor, like Alex is the only one whose lawn I mow or go out and do stuff for, really. Right? I mean, that's not true. I do Alex's lawn. And I also help the other neighbor right next to me. But as far as like going and doing other people's lawns, I don't really do that because I don't have time. Main thing is I don't have time to do it. So unless I live in Dallas-Fort Worth and you happen to be my neighbor, there's not really any difference between what you have now and what you would have if I were there. So there is that. But I do appreciate the offer. I do like the Dallas-Fort Worth area is pretty cool. I like that. I like Dallas. It's a cool town. All right, next up is John Rob Will. He says, my local Site 1 manager says that over-applying or misapplying fungicide can lead to mutated strains of disease, which will be harder to cure. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of that before? Yeah, so it's a good point that they make. Really, when it comes to fungicides, and this is true for like most anything, right? If you over apply them, or you don't apply them correctly, especially if you have like an active fungus active lawn disease, and you under apply it to where it's not enough to really kill it and get rid of it, what you can end up doing is having fungus that forms a resistance to it, to where it doesn't really work. Now, as far as it mutating, I mean, I guess you could say that's technically a mutation, right? Like the fungus that was once susceptible to, say, azoxystrobin and propiconazole no longer is. I've not experienced that in my lawn, and I've not experienced that with any viewers of mine writing in saying, "Hey, I've used Headway on my lawn and it didn't take care of, insert fungus that it's labeled to target." So I do agree with him that, if you are applying them improperly, and ideally, in my opinion, applying improperly means if you have an active fungus outbreak and you under apply it to where you're not really getting that stuff out of your lawn, you're not curing it. That can definitely lead to problems. But that also applies to herbicides too. The same thing, the same thing that your local Site 1 manager is saying for fungicides can also apply to herbicides as well. So that's why it's really important to follow the rate when it comes to applying fungicides as a preventative. The time to do that really is May and June. And then again, if you have any concerns about spring dead spot, and then again in the fall. You know what I mean? So really doing them and those time frames around now, and then again October timeframe is really all you should need, is what most lawns will need to keep disease at bay. You know what I mean? Now, but to his point, if you go to like a golf course or greens, there are some courses that apply fungicides monthly. They apply them regularly because that's what they need to keep the disease out of, particularly out of the greens. So it depends on what you're dealing with, particularly Rob will, but he is correct. He is correct that over and under applying fungicides can cause problems, much like any of the sides, much like herbicides, and even the same thing also applies to insecticides. There's some insecticides that if you use them all the time, the bugs no longer kills the bugs. You know what I mean? So that really can be said for everything. So good stuff. Great question. And I appreciate appreciate the comment. Good stuff. All right. Next up is Rio the Hitman. He says, electric reel mower. Let's go, Ron. Yeah, it's probably going to run on electricity. That's a good guesstimate. Now, which one it is, you guys will have to wait and see. So I'm not going to say yet until it actually shows up, but it's literally on its way here now. And it should be here hopefully by the middle of next week. We shall see. And should be fun. Another chapter in Ron's obsession to try and get the best, craziest, amazing lawn possible, because it's never good enough, right? So we shall see. You guys will find out, though. Just subscribe to the channel and watch the YouTube stories, and you guys will check it out. I'm pretty excited about it. It's a pretty cool setup. All right, next up is Parker's Aquatics. He says, happy Friday, everyone. I fertilized last weekend. I'm pretty sure it all washed away this week. Kind of unlikely, Parker's. Kind of unlikely. I mean, you can... if you're in the Georgia area, Northeast Georgia area, we got some heavy rain, but it was small bursts of heavy rain. It was not enough to really cause enough to cause a large fertilizer washout to where you lose a lot of fert. So that is really, I don't know where that really came from. That, if you put fertilizer down and it rains, you're losing all your fertilizer. That is far less common than it is common, Parker. So you're good to go, especially if you applied it last week. If you applied it last week and you watered it in, it should already been breaking down and start working its way into the soil. So the rain that we got over the past couple of days really should have only helped accelerate that process, not really get rid of it, if that makes sense. So I would not worry about it. You're good to go. No worries there. Man, questions are light tonight. You guys are giving me a break tonight, which is kind of cool. I'm gonna be able to get out of here early. We'll see. We shall see. All right, next up is Chris Sobzik. He says, thanks for the advice on applying fertilizer. Carbon Pro G, Hydrotane, all the same day after aeration, followed by top dressing with super sod leveling mix last weekend, all watered in with rain. Yeah, man, dude, that's awesome. So that if you can time it, and that's kind of hard to do, right? If you can time your top dressing around when there's going to be some heavy rain in the forecast, I mean, not crazy heavy rain, but like, a good rain shower, that's like the best ever, because nothing beats actual rainwater for getting the sand to settle, for watering it in. Just in general, it's better than running irrigation. So, and the stars aligned last year that when I did that really heavy top dressing job on the back lawn, that I was able to, that it rained something like 6 inches between Monday and Tuesday. It just like a ton of rain came down on the lawn. Actually, if you guys watch my videos on, if you guys want to see how much rain there was on the lawn, the Advion fire ant bait video, the one that I recently released, if you watch that video, there's a section in there, some B-roll in there where I talk about not applying this product to a wet lawn or when there's really heavy rain in the forecast. And that B-roll is from whenever I top dressed the lawn last year when there was really, really crazy heavy rain. If you want to see how much rain there was, watch that video and you'll be able to see that. On the topic of Advion fire ant bait, guys, I've got my hands on some of this, and I want to give one of these away to a lucky viewer. The only rules are that you have to be in a state that is where you can accept this, which I think is pretty much everywhere. Let me check the label here really quick and see where this cannot be shipped. You're not supposed to ship this. Let's see, Advion fire ant bait. It can go to everywhere other than Arkansas, Alaska, and California. So if you're in Alaska and California, I can't send this to you. But anywhere else, looks like you in the continental United States, looks like fair game. So the way we're going to do this for the giveaway is the video from last week. So you're not gonna. The giveaway will be the winner of the giveaway will be announced. Next week, because I want to give people ample time. People that watch the live stream after the fact, that kind of thing. So the video that I launched late last week on fire ants. I'm gonna put it in the chat now. All you guys have to do is go to that video and go in the comment section and say in the comments, give me my Advion, right? Or so it has to have Advion in the comment, right? So that way I can decipher between people that actually watch the live stream and are trying to enter to win, and people that were just regular comments on the video. So whatever you put in the comment, the word Advion has to be in there, so I'll know that you are someone that was entering the giveaway. So I will ship it to you at my expense. You don't have to pay for anything. It will go out to you guys. This one 2-pound jug, this thing will last you a long time. I'll tell you, I go through 1.5. I use one of these will last me 1.5 seasons, and I have a really big lawn. So in that video that I'll link in the chat now, you guys will see how I apply it. I apply it around the house and then around the perimeter of the lawn, and that does a great job keeping ants away. So let me see here. Advion giveaway video. And this is the link to said video. So when the live stream's over, or if you want to do it in another tab, you can go there and enter in there. In the comment, you have to enter a comment that has the word Advion in it, and then you'll be entering the giveaway. And then next week, we will announce the winner of 2 pounds of Advion fire ant bait. So other than people that live in California, and again, in the continental United States, if you're like in Africa and you write to me, you win, or you're in Australia, I mean, I'll send it to you, but you're gonna have to pay the shipping. I'm not gonna ship it to have it across the world, because that'd be super expensive. So if you guys are interested in that, enter, and good luck. We'll announce the winner next week. Fun stuff. Tis the season for giving, right? Tis the season for giving. All right, next up is Garland Holland. He says, how many yards are in the leveling mix yellow bag at Superside? It's 1 yard, Garland. 1 yard is what's in one per bag, by volume. Actually, let me get down here and grab a super chat really quick. I'm gonna answer your question, Garland, and I'm gonna get the super chat. So I'm sorry about that, Cameron. I'm seeing your super chat now. I'm gonna get it as soon as I finish answering this question. It's 1 yard. So depending on how heavy you top dress, Garland, that one bag can cover 500 square feet, or it can cover 1,500 square feet. If you do it the way that I recommend, which is in the middle, one bag of the Superside leveling mix will cover about 1,000 square feet. That allows you to put it down at the rate where you're not putting down more than, say, 1/4 to 1/2 inch on the lawn at any given time, which is what I like to do for a good result when top dressing. You go much heavier than that, and you're really playing Russian roulette if you get like a super heavy rain, or if your lawn has any kind of a slope. You mix in not aerating as part of the process as well too, and then you're going to have a bit of a mess on your hands. So going a bit lighter is what I'd recommend, and that's going to get you 1,000 square feet of coverage for that yard, that single yard of leveling mix. So one bag per 1,000 square feet. You can go a bit lighter. I don't really recommend going heavier than that. I really don't. Okay, next up is Z. He says, I just bought the Celsius and Certainty mix from the Golf Course Lawn Store. Can't wait to apply it. And thank you for the code. You are very, very welcome, Z. I think it does save you a little bit. We have a 5% discount code. That's like the only discounts that we do. There's only really two ways to get discounts on the Golf Course Lawn Store. And that is you can either join the mobile mailing list. So what I'll show you right here, and it's only a one-time, so make it worth it. Like buy a lot of stuff so you can make it worth doing. You see here in the lower left-hand corner where my mouse is kind of hovering, like right here where I'm clicking next to Z's name where it says get 5% off. For your first purchase, like one time, you can save 5% on any order values. If you buy something that's $5, we don't have to think it's $5, but if you buy something that's like, I don't know, $30, you're gonna save a little bit. You buy like $500 worth of stuff, you're gonna save a lot. So there's that, and the only other way is to join our mailing list. You also get a one-time discount that way. Other than that, there's not really any discount codes. I don't really run a lot of discounts, but for anyone that's just new to the store, that is what a way for just to help you out on your lawn care journey a little bit, and at the same time not put myself out of business. But what Z is talking about, if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store and to the weed killer section, in there, you will find Celsius by itself. You will find Certainty by itself. Well, because I know you guys, and it's just way too many clicks to add the Celsius, to add the Certainty, to add the marker dye, to add the surfactant. That's way too much work. What I did is I put together a kit that puts all four of these guys together. It saves you a little bit of money. You only have to add it to your cart one time, and you get what I consider to be the best combination for warm season grass, for killing the weeds that are most common to that we have in warm season turf. It's gonna take care of your poa, it's gonna take care of sedges, it's gonna take care of broadleafs. It's just overall what I consider to be a great concoction that is not as temperature sensitive as many of the other herbicide options that you have for warm season turf. But yeah, this is money. Works really, really well. I helped my neighbor out by using this on his lawn when he had like a bit of a salad bowl. One application of the Celsius Certainty combo, a little bit of surfactant, a little bit of Release Zero in there as well. Just one cleaned his lawn up, cleaned it up, perfectly. Got rid of all the broadleaves, got rid of the POA. This was a couple of months ago. Did a really good job. So it's not inexpensive, but it does work. It's a great combination that I've got put together there. So hopefully you guys will take advantage of that if you have a need for sedge control and POA control and broadleaf control in your lawn. So appreciate the support, Z. Given that you ordered today, it's more than likely going to ship tomorrow. And actually, anything that you guys order, not anything, I need to correct that. Like the Celsius Certainty surfactants, Primo, Acelyprin in liquid, those will all ship tomorrow morning if you order them today. So it's a good way to get your stuff on its way to you if you are in a rush. All right, cool. Very nice. Next up, we have Brew Cruise Fishing, who says, Celsius and Certainty are the truth. Took care of my salad bowl in my backyard. Now it's 99.9% Bermuda. I just need some advice on bare spot areas. Sure, so that's the whole goal behind it, right? Brew Cruise. I mean, the idea is you apply the herbicides one time. Maybe you have to do it like some spot follow-up treatments, but for the most part, if you do it and apply it the way that I suggest, one app is really going to put you in a really good place. As far as the bare areas, we have to figure out why. You have to give me more details as to why you have the bare spots or bare areas. Is it just a thing where you had like a lot of weeds in one section and it's just taking a while for now the weeds are gone? It's giving the Bermuda a chance to fill in. If that's the case, it's just going to be a time thing. It's just going to be a time thing. You can't really fast track that outside of mowing, picking up your mowing frequency. Believe it or not, the more you mow, the more you're going to stimulate new growth in the grass. So that's going to help it fill in a bit quicker. But getting rid of the weeds so that the Bermuda is not competing with other plants for nutrients and for nutrients and also space is also going to help that those bare spots fill in. The only thing I might tell you is ensure that there's not, and you know this already, but ensure that it's not like any shade. There's no shade issues that will cause you to lag a bit as far as the bare spots or thin areas filling in. But outside of that, man, you got it. You did exactly what I suggest, right? Like if people ask me, how do you get a great lawn? They say, hey, I don't want to join the Golf Course Lawn Academy. I don't want to watch all your YouTube videos. Like, give it to me. Give me like a quick, the Cliff Notes version of it. And what I did is you got your infographic here where you just go home and just click on that. Click on shop. Actually, you can click on home. You just click on shop. And this will take you to this page, the product categories page. But there you will find a very carefully prepared infographic, which says, step 1, eliminate weeds. You've already done that, Brews Cruise. Step 2, get a soil test I recommend the one from my soil, but if you have another one that you like, that's fine too. But just get a soil test, and then once you get those soil test results, fertilize your lawn based on said soil test results, and then mow some more. And now we're at a point where we can start, introducing, our biostimulants and top dressing and all. We got all the fundamentals covered. Now we're really going to really take advantage of a lot of those products. So, in a nutshell, this is what you need to do. It sounds like you got step 1 down, and by doing step 2, step 3, and step 4, that's going to correct the bare spot areas in your lawn. And it just takes time. Just takes time. A lawn is not something you can just Thanos snap and just get like that. If we could, we wouldn't really appreciate it, right? So it's the fact that you have to chase it is what makes it kind of fun. All right, next up is Parker's Aquatics. He says, I was going to pick up some screen sand to spread, and it's $50 a ton. Is that delivered? That's probably the price, probably not delivered. It's probably more delivery fee on top of that. All right, $50 a ton. I feel that that's expensive. Can anyone else share what they paid to pick up a ton of screen sand? That does not sound crazy expensive to me, Parker. That doesn't sound expensive to me. I mean, if it's delivered, it's really not bad. But I imagine that's not delivered. So I would expect that you're going to pay. I don't know. I mean, that does not seem expensive to me. I'll put you in perspective, right? If you got the Super Sod leveling mix, that is going to cost you $199, or if you use my discount code, it saves you $10. So let's call it $190, but that's delivered, and that's a lot more expensive than $50. So even if they charge you like a $35 delivery fee or whatever it happens to be, you're still cheaper. Granted, you're comparing apples and oranges. They're not equivalent. Those two things, even though they both have sand in them, they are not the same thing. It kind of gives you the idea of whenever you have a very premium product versus just pure screen sand, the price difference. So $50 a ton doesn't seem like a really bad price. It doesn't seem terribly bad. One thing I might ask them is if you can get them to quote you by volume instead of by weight. I'm a bigger fan of doing that, because the problem with sand is if it gets wet, like wet sand weighs a lot, right? So if you can say, hey, I want a cubic yard for $50, then by volume you're getting enough material to be able to cover 1,000 square feet thereabouts in your lawn. But a ton. Again, a yard weighs around a ton, but if it's really wet, you might be getting less than that. So if you can get them to quote you by volume, that would be great. But yeah, to me, that's not a bad price. But we'll see what anyone else in the chat thinks as far as pricing goes for that. Next is Kathleen Gamble. I actually used to know a Gamble, Dorian Gamble. He says, good evening, everyone. I fertilized my grass a couple days later. I have some brown streaks. How can I repair it? Thank you. So it sounds, Kathleen, like you may have over-applied the fertilizer if you're talking about brown streaks in the lawn, especially if they're like in a straight line. That's likely from like a heavy pass with a broadcast spreader, or maybe going a little bit heavy or overlapping a bit too heavy. The answer to your question is really going to be time. You can water the area heavily. That's going to help try and flush some of the fertilizer through the soil profile. It's going to help a little bit, but really it's just going to be time. You did not say what kind of grass you have. If it's Bermuda, it's going to recover. Most grass types are going to recover from that. But it's a time thing. It's a time thing. The only thing I can tell you to really help things a little bit is to water heavily. Again, it's going to help flush some of the nitrogen away from the grass. But it's just waiting. It's a waiting game. It's a waiting game. So sorry you're dealing with that. It is temporary. The lawn will recover. Fair not. Higgy Pop's in the live stream. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Yeah, man, that's a good thing, guys. It is Memorial Day weekend. And, definitely make sure that I'm not all preachy, but, there's a lot of people that have suffered a lot for this country, that still suffer a lot, even daily, that have to deal with a lot. So first, to have a lot of the freedoms we have, to have awesome lawns, and to live in a place where, we don't have to worry about rockets flying through the windows or anything like that, like some other parts of the world right now. So take some time out this weekend to definitely, if you see a veteran or someone that served in the armed forces, to thank them for their service. And also, just take some time to think about people that paid, the ultimate sacrifice for us to have a lot of the freedoms that we enjoy in this great country of ours. So thanks for the coming to the live stream, Higgy Pop. Just you saying have a great weekend just made me think about that. So There's my PSA about Memorial Day weekend. If you want to barbecue too, that's fine, but that's not really that's more a 4th of July thing. But if you want to barbecue this weekend, won't hold it against you either. All right, next up is Joel Hernandez. He says, Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Ron. Finally made it to the live stream, watching the entire live stream while waiting in line at Chick-fil-A for some lemonade. Man, don't talk to me about Chick-fil-A. I'm upset right now. My local Chick-fil-A, the one that's closest to me, they're down for maintenance. Chick-fil-A, I'll tell you something. Chick-fil-A, as far as you can tell how I brighten up, because I do love some Chick-fil-A. I really do. I get in trouble for eating it too often, but I just love Chick-fil-A. Love their lemonade. Anyway, they're down for maintenance because they're trying to put in maybe one of those dual drive-throughs and, upgrade the place and give it, make it even more crowded than all the Chick-fil-A's already are. But yeah, I feel you, man. Their live stream, their lemonade is the truth. That is, for me, Chick-fil-A lemonade is top. And then Milo's is a good second. And then there's everything else is then after that. And here's the thing, for Milo's being a bottled lemonade, it definitely punches way above its weight because the Chick-fil-A lemonade is made fresh every single day, from what I understand, right? They make it fresh in the store every day. Whereas Milo's, I think it's relatively fresh, but again, it's bottled and they gotta ship it out. So for a lemonade that you can just buy at Kroger's or Publix or wherever you can happen to find it, really good lemonade. But I am envious, man, because I cannot easily go and get Chick-fil-A lemonade right now. I got to drive a little bit further to go find one, and it's just not really worth it. So there you go. I'm glad you're watching the live stream, though. Glad you're watching the live stream. It's funny. Until they shut down, I was on a first name basis with some of the people at my Chick-fil-A drive-thru, which is not a good thing to be known for. But hey, man, that lemonade's something else. All right. Next up is Logan Brunner, who says, "Hey Ron, I bought the Yard Mastery backpack sprayer. I watched your spring blueprint video on what you're putting down. How did you determine how much of that product to put down after a soil test? How much should I put down after a soil test? Which part of the blueprint are you talking about? If you're talking about the, if I want to say if I did a Lime application in that, if it's the Lime app, it's really, there's not, at least not that I'm aware of anyway, there's not really a, let's say your pH is, I don't know, let's say it's like a mid 5s, 5.5 or whatever. It's not as simple as saying that, adding 20 pounds of lime per 1,000 is going to then raise your pH to the mid 6s, because there's what's the measured pH, and then there's also a parameter called buffer pH, which is where your soil really wants to be, like where it wants to settle. And depending on where that is, it may take more lime to raise your pH than in a soil where the buffer pH is like in the Goldilocks zone, like the mid 6s, right? So to answer your question, as far as determining how much to apply, whenever I apply lime, I never really apply less than 20 pounds per 1,000. Like if I'm going to put it down, I'm just going to put it down. Last year during the summer, I did a 40 pound per 1,000 app. So I tend to go a bit heavier on the lime, because the thing with lime is, even if you raise your pH from, like say you went from low 6s to say the higher 6s, right? The fertilizers that we apply over the course of the growing season tend to have an acidifying effect on the soil. In other words, the salts in them tend to lower pH a little bit over time. At least the soils here in Georgia. Other parts of the country might be different, but around here, that tends to be the trend, which is why a lot of lawn care services, also as part of their fall apps, they will also just add a lime. They add a lime application to what they do to customers' lawns. So that's how I determined that, how much lime that I'm going to put down. If the pH is relatively low, I'm doing at least 20 pounds. At worst case, I'll do, and if I really feel like it, I'll do 40 pounds, water in heavily, and then I'll measure again in 3 to 6 months and see where pH is moving around. As far as the other levels, so in the video that you're talking about for the blueprint, based on my soil test, my phosphorus levels were a bit high. So what I did with that was, instead of using Turfplex, which has phosphorus in it, I just figured out ways to limit adding that. I know that between my fertilization program, between the Humic Max and between the liquids that I'm spraying, I'm getting about 0.8 of a pound of nitrogen thereabouts every month. So even though whenever I took my soil test, the levels were lower, I know that once I start feeding the lawn, I'm giving the soil what it needs per month to be able to do well, right? And that's kind of reflected in what you see in this video, right? Like you can look at the turf. That looks, I think that looks pretty good. I didn't compress this video, so it's kind of choppy, but that is based on just applying 0.8 of a pound of nitrogen and the liquids at that combination to get up to that total rate, if that makes sense. So it's not like I look at the soil test results and I say, okay, my potassium's a little bit low, so I'm going to apply a little bit more potassium. I'm gonna use this product to raise the potassium up just this a small percentage, and my nitrogen is low. I'm gonna add like this much product to get the nitrogen up this percentage. Literally, I look at what's deficient and I make sure that whatever I'm putting in the soil has that in it. And in the case of my soil where where the phosphorus levels were high, I look at the soil test to say what I'm going to omit from adding to the soil. So in my case, that's phosphorus right now. So hope that helps. I hope that helps. I think that's the question you're answering, and I believe I've answered it. As far as the liquids, I do about 1/10 a pound of nitrogen in each application, and then for the granulars, 1/2 pound of nitrogen per application once per month. So liquids twice a month at 1/10 of a pound, and then the granular once a month at around 1/2 pound. So hope that helps. If that's not clear, just hit me up again in the chat below, and I'll revisit it. I want to make sure you understand it, but I think I've answered your question. All right, next up is Parker's Aquatics. And before I answer Parker's question, I'm going to take Cameron's super chat because I get off on tangents and I forget.
Super chat received.
He says, annual rye that is scalped is growing again. Will this be a problem for my newly seeded Arden 15? It was scalped and brown, but now it's dark green and growing fast. Lots of rain and cloud cover this past week. So yeah, Cameron, here's the thing. The ryegrass at this time of year is going to have a harder time because it's getting hotter. And the Arden 15, conversely, is going to take off because it likes sunlight and it likes heat. Both the two things that we're getting a lot of right now. So I really wouldn't worry about it too much. The ryegrass should die off. I mean, or really start falling back as far as how much is dominating in the lawn. In other words, with temps going higher, and it sounds like your lawn is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. You said it was brown, but now it's dark green. It's growing quickly. So that's exactly what I would expect to see happening in an Arden 15 lawn this time of year. The ryegrass, if you really feel like spraying it out, you can, but I wouldn't bother. It's going to get hot. It's going to become pretty much a non-issue here in the next month or so, so I wouldn't worry about it, especially as the Arden 15 really catches itself and takes off and becomes the alpha grass of your lawn. You're gonna be good to go. So I wouldn't worry about it. It sounds like you're in great shape to me. You got water, some rain coming in that's gonna help the Bermuda do well. I wouldn't sweat it. And I apologize for taking so long to get to your super chat. I'm sorry about that. Trying to do better, but I go off on tangents. I get caught up and just start going. So I'm sorry about that. I appreciate the support, and hopefully that answers your question. Good stuff. Okay, next is Parker. Parker's Aquatics. He says Centerville is right up the road. From me, and a lot of a quarter to an eighth acre lots surrounded by wood privacy fences and centipede grass. I got you, Parker. Sounds like, if you want bigger property, sounds pretty cool. Sounds very, very, very cool. All right, Naomi's in the live stream. What's going on? What's going on, Rach? Thanks for coming to hang out in the live stream. Appreciate you come out and support Pops. I appreciate you. Love you very much. Thanks for coming to hang out. Always fun. I know you got better things to be doing than watching me talk about grass, but I appreciate it. And says nice, man. So I appreciate it. Chase Smith is up next. He says, hey Chase, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. And then next up is Q Dog, not R Dog, not S Dog, but Q Dog. Q Dog is asking, can you still level your yard? You absolutely can, Q Dog. Now's a great time of year to do it. Most of the lawn care leveling services, like now is when they recommend people doing leveling their lawns. Like if you were to call up Richard or Richard at why can't I forget Sandman Top Dressing. I mean, they've been doing it earlier in the season now because they've been trying to get ahead of it and get people's lawns done. But normally the time for top dressing is the month of May, June timeframe. Like right now is like the Goldilocks zone because we're still getting rain and the heat's there, so the lawn's going to recover quickly. I do it earlier in the season for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want to be out there when it's crazy hot, so I do it a bit earlier so that I can get it done. I know the grass is going to grow through it, and I don't really mind the lawn looking like a beach a bit longer than it would if I waited. And then second, For those of you guys that are going to be doing that, I'll have content for you guys to watch on how to, how to top dress your lawns. If you want to watch yet another lawn leveling video, I'll have one out for you to watch. But yes, you can still level your yard. Really, in Northeast Georgia, you can get away with about 3 top dressings per year. That's is what I would say. I mean, if you're doing it light, 3 in a season is fairly easy to do. I don't know if you're going to have the fortitude to do it, but if you're following what I'm saying here, you could do one in late April, early May. So that'd be like top dress number 1. You could do another one in mid June, so 6 weeks from the first one. And then you could do another one in July, late July timeframe, early August timeframe. But this all, is under the assumption that you're not putting down like 2 inches of sand each time. You're putting down 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch of sand, not too much, so the lawn can grow through it and recover very quickly. So yeah, absolutely can do it. Now's a great time of year to do it. So I would get on, if you're not doing it yourself, call someone up to come do it for you. Or if you're going to do it yourself, like a boss, then get out there and get your sand and your leveling mix ordered, and get that down and get on with it, man. It's a lot of fun. It's actually it's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun. It's very rewarding once it's finished. So everyone that I talk to that top dresses their lawn, when they're in it, they say, "Oh, it's horrible. I'm never ever 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 doing this again. It's the worst thing ever." While they're like talking about doing it, and then once they're done, like, "Oh, it wasn't so bad. I'll do it all over again." So there you go. All right, next up is Smoking Leg says, "Thanks for answering my question. You're awesome." That's what I'm here for. I mean, the whole point of the live stream is not just to me to talk about, my lawn growing and things in the store. If the store fits in and other things that about my lawn are relevant, I'll bring those up. But for the most part, it's all about you guys. It's a lawn care Q&A. It's about questions you guys have about your lawn. So this time of year, I know I'm not hearing as much about weeds in lawns as yet. I imagine it's going to start becoming a thing here in a few weeks. If we start getting more rain and sedge, the nut sedge starts to show up, I'm sure we'll start getting questions about that. But right now we're in top dressing season. So that's why there's so many questions around lawn leveling and top dressing, which is really cool. All right, next up is Austin Ostreicher. He says, "Hey, Ron, I threw down carbonized PN in some bare spots and the Bermuda sprinted to it. Good stuff. I'll be buying more. Thanks." It is awesome. I mean, carbonized PN is an awesome product. Really, really good. It's the greenest my lawn has ever been. The Super Solid Leveling Mix was a pretty close second, but the greenest my front lawn has ever been is, and when I say green, like it's like I always call it like Disney green, like this really rich, like there's just a depth of color was just incredible. Was from carbonized PN. If you guys saw my video that I did last year of top dressing the front lawn with just soil, and I used like a bunch of carbonized PN in the process, that's what I'm talking about. If you actually want to see what the lawn looked like, and this picture really doesn't do it justice because the pictures on the store are not this. I have to do a lot to make them load quickly so they don't look as awesome as they could. But if you scroll down here and then go to the gallery so I can find it. Here, no, not that one. Not that one. It's going to be this one. Yeah. So this picture doesn't really do it justice, but if you look at the color of that was 10 days after carbonized PN. There's nothing else that went on to help produce this color other than carbonized PN. And you can see just how tight and green and dense that looks. I mean, it's an incredible product for top dressing. The only thing is that it's expensive to get. Like if you're going to top dress a large area with it, it does add up. We do have like the big super sacks that will save you quite a bit of money. You figure if you want to get like 50 bags of carbonized PN, it's like expensive. It's like $3,000. But like a super sack, which is equivalent to that, is like around, normally for most parts of the country, is like half the price, right? So shipped to your door is normally around $1,500 thereabouts, which is still expensive, but it's a lot cheaper than buying it in individual bags. And then again, my front lawn has never been greener than the time when I just did a top dress with strictly that product. It's an excellent product for top dressing, not for leveling, because again, it's mainly compost and biochar, but for top dressing, it is the champagne of top dressing, in my opinion. Just for compost, not for leveling. All right, I'm glad you got some good results with it, Austin, and I'm glad you'll be buying more. Appreciate the support. Next is Terrence Stamps. He says, "Hey, Ron, I just want to thank you for answering my questions whenever I ask them. I am watching and listening to the stream while I'm commuting home. Have a good weekend all." You're very, very welcome, Terrence. That is my goal. That's what I'm here for, right? To try and help answer your questions. I don't always have the answers, but I will do my best to get you an answer whenever I can. whenever I can. So I appreciate you guys watching and supporting the channel. So it's always good. Autumn is in the live stream. Autumn Henry, what's going on? My daughter is in the live stream. She's hanging out. What's going on, Ott? Thanks for coming to. I guess you also, like Rach, are like bored tonight, so you can come watch Dad talk about turf grass. But I appreciate the support. Hopefully, you guys have hit the like button too. If not, do it. You know, I mean, you guys know what's up. You guys know what how I always talk to you guys about the algorithm and how important that is. So make sure you get that like button. So I appreciate the love and support. And the next up is Tyler Harris. He says, Ron, I've got a dead side of my yard, 500 square feet. Okay, so side of his yard, dead, 500 square feet, from a previous owner's deck, now removed, planting runners and patches of Bermuda from bed projects. Should I keep at it, or just overseed with Arden 15? So if you want the 500 square feet of area that was, I mean, it was dead because it didn't get any sunlight because the deck used to be there, to match the existing lawn, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. The best bet is going to be to use the existing, like use plugs from the existing lawn, transplant them to this area, and just be patient. Really, Bermuda, once it gets hot, and it's already getting hot, but now it should really begin to take off. You know what I mean? So as long as that area is getting plenty of sunlight, you said it was a deck, so decks are normally built next to houses. So as long as the house is not creating a shade condition to where it's getting adequate sunlight, it should fill in. 500 square feet is not really that big of an area, but I'd imagine by the end of the season, especially like once you get those plugs to take and they start coming through, it should start filling in fairly well. You know what I mean? So that would be my recommendation if your goal is to have the existing lawn match this new area as closely as possible, because it is going to match because it's the same grass, right? Overseeding with Arden15 can work, or seeding the area with Arden15 can work, but I don't know, you didn't say what kind of Bermuda you have. If you have Tifway 419, those two together look decent. They look pretty good together. Like my lawn, when you're looking at the mutt lawn, that is literally Arden15 and Tifway 419. You're seeing both grasses in there, in the lawn, right? So it can look decent, but it doesn't look like that initially, right? When you first do it, you're going to definitely be able to see the areas that are Arden, and you're definitely going to be able to see the areas where it's Tifway. But over time, they kind of blend together, and it looks like how that looks. So it's a long-winded answer to tell you it depends. For most people, if you're really picky about how things look and you want to make sure that it matches, just wait, just be patient. It's Bermuda. It's really not going to take that long to fill in. But if you're not patient and you don't care that it matches exactly, then you can seed with Arden, assuming you can find it, because Arden 15 is being discontinued. So whatever you find, like that's going to be the last of it, right? So something else to keep in mind. John Williams is here in the live stream. He says, hey, Ron, I'm about to kill this ryegrass, then put down some grass plugs, St. Augustine, maybe centipede. Why not Bermuda, John? I'm not going to finish reading your question. Let's have a quick sidebar here before I continue on. I mean, you're getting rid of the rye. Good. Yay for that. That's fine. But why not go with Bermuda? Bermuda is such an excellent grass. It's a good option. I didn't see Bermuda listed there. I hear like all these other grass types, and like the one that is near and dear to my heart, no mention. Anyway, it says, how long should I wait until after I spray to plug the lawn, or can I plug the lawn and kill ryegrass? I would kill ryegrass and then plug. Here's why. Even though herbicides are labeled as being safe for that particular grass type, right? So you take like the Celsius Certainty combination. Excellent herbicides, very safe for the grasses that they're designed to be safe for when applied at the rates they are supposed to be applied at. They're very, very, very safe. However, they still are a stressor. Any herbicide is a stressor. So when you apply herbicide to a lawn, even though it is labeled for use on that grass type, there is a mild amount of stress you're introducing to the grass. So if you're putting down brand new plugs, the last thing I'd want to do is transfer plugs into an area you're trying to establish a lawn, and the first thing we do is we smack it with herbicides. Even though you're going at light rates or whatever, I would do my best to clean up the lawn, to eliminate the weeds you want to get rid of first, and then plug the lawn. That's the sequence that I would follow. Now, what you can do conversely is you can plug the lawn, let the plugs get established, get to the point where you can actually mow it, to where they're established, they're rooted in. And then if you want to use post-emergent herbicides like Celsius, like Certainty, that's going to be fine too. That's another option. But what I would not do is plug the lawn, like say today, and then a week from now, go and spray a full rate application of herbicides over it. You know what I mean? You want to give the new grass a chance to root and catch itself and and get established before you introduce any kind of any kind of chemical stressors like herbicide to it. That would be my recommendation. So hopefully that makes sense. And good luck on the project. And man, listen, it's not too late to consider Bermuda. Bermuda in your life, it's a good thing. It doesn't have to be considered a weed. I am living proof that Bermuda can actually look pretty good if you take care of it. All right, Tyler Harris says it looks like crabgrass or Dallas grass. You think so, Tyler? I mean, I could see Dallas grass for one, but this one is the seed heads that look really weird to me. So that looks like Dallas grass to you? I mean, crabgrass, no. I'm gonna say no to crabgrass on this one. Dallas grass. If this is Dallas grass, it's some kind of alien looking Dallas grass. That's not like how Dallas grass typically looks to me. But maybe, but it looks, my buddies that looked at it said it's some kind of a field grass, or they've told me. I asked 3 people that spray lawns for a living, and all of them said I've never seen that in a residential lawn in Georgia. So they're not sure. I'm not sure where this person is, but they said it's not something that's common to lawns in Georgia, or at least not to this area. So there's that. And I don't think crabgrass. I don't think definitely not crabgrass, and maybe Dallas grass. I don't know. I don't think so on that one either. And then the other one, which is this guy, the viewer thought it was creeping bent grass, wild creeping bent grass. So I don't know. Not sure. But keep chiming in. Give me your answers. Let me know what you guys think about them. All right, next up is Aaron Steensma says, Ron, your shows are the best. I really appreciate it, sir. I don't know about the best, but I try and be of value to you guys. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes not so much, but either way, we have a great time, right? You guys get to make fun of me, like tripping over my words and trying to answer these questions in a way that is entertaining and beneficial. Rolex DSD is here. He says, let's go. Yeah, right. Let us go. Let's go. All right. Next is Cooper24. He says, hey, Ron, I have a quick question. My backyard has a slight slope and rain tends to puddle at the bottom. What do you recommend doing to prevent the stagnation of water? Should I level the lawn? So without pictures, it's really hard to say exactly what the best course of action is going to be, Cooper. I will tell you that one of the best thing, not one of the, like the best thing I've done for my lawn as far as helping with water not pooling on the surface, staying on the surface for extended periods of time, was top dressing. This is the first time I did it. Made a night and day difference on how much or how long water stays on the lawn. Something to keep in mind here too, and this is something I fixed on the slope for my front lawn, is how can I explain this? If the water from the house, like if you have any kind of downspouts, any kind of drainage from the house that drains onto the slope, if there's a way you can redirect that water to where it drains somewhere else, that is going to help too. So thing one, again, without seeing pictures, I'm just telling you, I'm picturing my slope and on your lawn and what I would do to fix it, or how I improved mine. One, I top dressed it. That helped. The second thing I did to help prevent a lot of water from always just rushing down the slope, causing erosion and just in general, just causing problems, was for all the downspouts, all the areas that where water comes off the roof that were dumping into the mulch bed that's in the front of the house, which then ultimately ran down in the front yard and creates a big mess. One, I got tired of always having to pick mulch up out of the yard before I mowed it, is I got some of that black flex tubing that you can get from Home Depot. I attached that to it and then ran it along the side of the house and have it dump onto the driveway. I will make a note, if you watch my YouTube stories tomorrow morning, I'll actually show you what I'm talking about. I'll get this out, I'll get the phone out and I'll video and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, like what I did to help reduce water getting on the slope. So there's a multi-step approach to this. Top dressing, yes, absolutely. Aerate the lawn, good to do a good top dressing job. Like a 70-30 mix with some sand in it is going to do a great job for helping the slope pull water away from the surface. The next thing is to prevent water or large amounts of water from ending up on the slope in the first place. And the way we do that, assuming that, again, I haven't seen your house, but assuming that your part, like some spout from your home is draining onto the slope, we got to change that. We got to redirect the water to go somewhere else. And those two things coupled together is going to do a lot to help reduce the amount of water that sits and stagnates on your lawn. Now, if at the bottom of the slope you got some kind of a bowl situation going on, you got to fix that too. Like that's like another thing you ought to address. So again, without pictures, it's hard to tell you exactly what to do. But those two things, top dressing and then limiting water that gets on the slope, are things that will help the situation. So Hope that helps. Best answer I could give you without pictures, but that's what I have done, and it's made a huge difference on how much washout and damage I have had on my slope. And then John Williams said, those two weeds look pretty terrible. Must kill those. That's what one of my buddies said, man. He said, I don't know what this is, but he said, this guy, to quote his words, this weed, if I can find it, this weed is like, like the guy in a bar that you don't want to get into a fight with. That's what this weed looks like. It's like some kind of rough and tumble weed. Like you could throw whatever you had at the truck at this and it would just probably take it and just like laugh at him because it's pretty gnarly looking, right? It's pretty nasty looking weed. So I don't want it in my lawn. And from what he's saying, it's not common in the lawns around here. So yeah, I don't know what it is. If you guys have any idea, let me know. But it's a pretty nasty one. Pretty nasty one. We got a super chat here. Let me run down here and grab it really quick from Mr. Lance F. Thank you so much for the super chat, Lance. I appreciate the support.
Received.
He says, happy Memorial Day weekend. Yep, happy Memorial Day weekend to you as well, Lance. Just took my Kentucky Bluegrass to half an inch yesterday. Man, bless your heart. With a 5-blade manual reel mower. I used the same mower all of last year at 1 inch. I just bought a 7-blade manual reel mower to help with the lower height of cut. The grass is still blotchy. Yeah, so here's what you're gonna find. Whenever you make a major height of cut change, and I consider that to be a major change, going from like half inch to from 1 inch to half inch, especially with a manual reel mower, that's a big change. That's not like it's not a light change. There's gonna be an adaptation period, I would give it a couple 2 to 3 weeks of regular mowing and seeing how it looks. You'll know then if you're gonna be able to maintain that with a manual reel mower. You know what I mean? You're gonna be able to you'll be able to see. I don't know anyone that's really pulled off half an inch, at least throughout the entire season anyway, with a manual reel mower. Could be possible, could happen, could be doable, but just don't. How it looks now is I would not put too much stock in that. I would give it a couple of weeks and keep mowing it, see how it looks, and then make your decision on whether you're gonna be able to stay at half an inch or whether you're gonna have to raise it up, if that makes sense. So appreciate the super chat, sir. Thanks for the question. And if you need anything else, let me know. Next is Cameron. Cameron is back. Cameron Hearn. He says, Ron, I just moved into a new house. Backyard was uneven, and I hauled dirt in and seeded with annual ryegrass. Okay, and then I seeded with Arden 15. After a week of rain, cool temps, the rye is growing again. So, which do you want to grow, Cameron? Because you're putting down Bermuda, and you're putting down ryegrass. So it's like, I would pick one to get established first. Like really, I would do the Bermuda this time of year now, and then the ryegrass. If you wanted to get that going, you could do that in the fall. But it's kind of your call. But doing both at the same time, you have two grasses that are kind of competing with each other. But if it's working for you, just keep doing with it. And I guess you're asking me, is that a problem? I'm scared to cut it again and harm new Bermuda growing. Yeah, so I would not do a ryegrass seed and an Arden 15 and a Bermuda grass seed at the same time. I pick one or the other. And this time of year, I would lean again towards the Bermuda more so than ryegrass. I would do like rye in the fall when Bermuda's starting to go away. And Bermuda, like this is now the go time to really get the Bermuda to grow in and get established. I would not do both. Given that, it sounds like you want to have the Bermuda be the lawn or the grass type during the summer months, like during like this time of year. Once it's established, once it germinates and it's growing in, I would start mowing it. In other words, I would focus more on keeping the Bermuda happy, more so than keeping the ryegrass happy this time of year, because really this is Bermuda time, not annual ryegrass time. You know what I mean? So you want to give the grass love that is supposed to be growing for the time of the year that you happen to be in. So like late March all the way through September, that's Bermuda time. That's warm season grass time. After that, then you can do ryegrass. So those would be my thoughts. It's up to you whether you want to do that or not, but I would definitely not do both at the same time. That's you're kind of working against yourself there. Plus it's also a headache, right? If you ever have to spray herbicides, like you gotta be super careful because you can't use Celsius or Certainty because they're gonna damage the ryegrass, right? So that's why having one dominant grass in the lawn at a time, of whether it's warm or cool, like one either or, is I think a course of wisdom. Just makes your life a lot simpler should you ever have to spray herbicides. Next is Robbie Marie. He says, "Hey Ron, I just picked up some more Nutrisolve from the lawn store, and yes, my front yard is a project building up the soil before I bring in new sod." Very cool, Robbie. Very good stuff. Yeah, get that Nutrisolve, man. I'm telling you, because it was sold out for the better part of a week, week and a half, and we got some more in, but it's not a lot. So if you know you want to use it, I would get at least get a gallon, 2 gallons, whatever you need to hold you over for another month or two, whatever, depending on how big your lawn is. I would get it because it's an excellent product, but like products that are really good and that people like, everyone buys it up. So I'm telling you guys so you have a chance to get it. All right, next up is Mauricio Salinas. He says, "I bet you bought a Sterling." I have that one, and although with some I have one. Although with some unfortunate surprises, still working with Austin, UK trying to resolve. Huh. You guys let me know what you were dealing with, Mauricio. So if you don't mind, I know you may not want to say here, but if you don't mind, email me, ron@golfcourselawn.com. Just let me know what the challenges you're having are, what the issues you have going on with it. Just interested in hearing. I mean, if you can't say, that's fine too. But if you feel, I mean, I won't share anything you tell me, but if I'm just interested in finding out what issues you're dealing with, because it sounds like you are having some challenges. I didn't have any challenges with the mower when I ran it. Granted, I only used it for a couple of hours, but I will confirm that the mower that I'm getting is not a Sterling. It is not a Sterling. A Sterling is a great machine. It's a great, it's a good machine, but for my lawn, it's not enough. It's not big enough. Like it's like a 20-inch mower. Like last time I had a 20-inch mower was when I had the push reel mower. And that would be, for me, that would be a step backwards if I'm going to cut with it. Like if I had the Sterling and all I was going to use it for is verticutting and like turf raking, then it would be okay for that. But if I'm actually going to use it to mow, then I need something a bit more substantial. So it is an electric, but it is not a Sterling. It's not a Sterling, which kind of narrows things down a bit, right? So we shall see. Next up is XV Big Bird VX. All right, cool. He says, "It's already 80 to 90 degrees. Should I wait for the fall to level my lawn? Fescue, Northern California. Thanks." Yeah, so with you having a cool season grass, Big Bird, it's, leveling the lawn, especially if you go heavy, is a mild stressor. So if you're gonna do it now, I'd go really, really light. To your point, you'd be better off doing it in the fall. That's when your grass is really going to begin taking off. That's when it's going to be growing aggressively again. So I wouldn't push to do that now. I really wouldn't. There's not really a good reason to, I would not do a heavy top dress on KBG now, on ryegrass now, or really any cool season grass, especially with the temps being in 80 to 90 degrees. I mean, if you really want to go do something like a light compost, that could be okay. But waiting until the fall is a much better course of action. In my opinion, I really wouldn't, I wouldn't it's like asking me, would I top dress Bermuda I do a top dress of Bermuda in October? No, I wouldn't. It's just it's the wrong time of year to do it. You know what I mean? You need to do it whenever the grass is entering into its growing season. So for you guys, that's either in the spring, early spring, or into the fall months. Right now, you're just trying to keep it alive. You're trying to make it survive the 90-degree temps. So wouldn't do that right now. So hope that helps. Next is Robbie Marie. He's back. He says, "I will forward some pics soon of the battle royale in the backyard with the St. Augustine and Bermuda fighting for unclaimed soil." So which one do you want, Robbie? Because I'm trying to remember if you wanted the St. Augustine or the Bermuda, because one is easy to get. Like it's easy to get one to become the dominant grass. It's not so easy for the others. If you have Bermuda and you want Bermuda to be the alpha grass, that's an easier proposition than if you have St. Augustine and you want to get rid of Bermuda. Like I'm trying to think if there's any herbicides that I'm aware of that will kill Bermuda and not kill St. Augustine. And there's not many that I'm aware of. Whereas if you want to get rid of the St. Augustine in Bermuda, just spray it with quinclorac at a higher rate. And that will, spray it at a higher rate with quinclorac and then mow it short. Two things that a St. Augustine doesn't like, and then Bermuda will become the main grass. So it depends on what you want. Depends on what you're after. For me, I would choose Bermuda, but that's me. I'm just a little bit biased on that one. A little bit biased. All right. Two Trilla says, "I knew it. Ron Henry is getting an Owlet. I knew you couldn't resist despite the size. You knew you had a vision about this. I had a vision about this. Way to put a spin on the channel if it's true." Maybe we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Here's the thing that I will tell you um, that is appealing is the ability. Like I want to be able to regularly verticut the lawn. That is a thing that I want to do, and I don't want to also have to go out and rent a verticutter to do it. Now, granted, this is a more expensive way of going about doing that, right? But also just having the functionality to use the other cartridges and that kind of thing, it's going to be cool. I'd like to try. I'd like to try maintaining the lawn using their system for part of the season. I want to see if I do it their way, right? Because I know what the results I know what my way looks like. I know what my results look like, and they look I think pretty good. But what I'm being told is that it can get even better if I follow their program, their method of doing it. Their regular turf raking and verticutting and that type of thing. So I'm willing to give it a shot. You know me, I'm willing to experiment and give it a go on the lawn, and we'll see. We'll see how it works out. It's you got to realize that Owlet does make they do make mowers for homeowners, but their real bread and butter is for like professional turf fields, kind of like Toro. Like Toro doesn't really care. I mean, they probably care a little, but in their real mowers, they don't really care about us in the home care space so much. They sell to golf courses and professional sports fields. Same thing with Owlet. They sell to there's a couple of MLB teams that use their stuff. Manchester United, like football, like soccer, uses their stuff. A lot of the royal properties in the UK are cut with their stuff, so they make good equipment, and their commercial stuff is used by the who's who of people that really care about turf grass. So it'll be interesting to see. You guys will find out soon enough, and we'll see. You guys know me. I will document all of it. You guys will see the video and the entire program, everything I'm going to be trying out, and we'll see how it goes. All right, next up is you can send it to Texas where freedom lives. I'm not sure what you mean, but yeah, Texas is you guys pretty much do things your way. Oh, you mean as far as the Advion? That's what you mean? Yes, yeah. So if you happen to win, Robbie, Advion is shippable to Texas. So for those of you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, we are going to do a giveaway next week, where we'll announce the winner next week, where you can win a 2-pound jug of Advion fire ant bait. One of these guys from most normal sized lawns is going to last you for a couple of seasons. On my lawn, this 2-pound jug lasts for like a season and a half. So I mean, it's a pretty cool thing to win. I mean, it's not crazy expensive. It's like $50 thereabouts, and I will send it to you at my expense. And the way you enter is all you have to do is go to my recent video on Advion on this product and leave a comment that has Advion in the comment section. So if you quick comment about saying, yeah, I want to try Advion, or I hope I win Advion, or something that has, the word Advion has to be in it, because whenever I go through and I use the tool that I use to announce to randomly pick a winner, there's going to be people in there that just have regular comments. And they're not going to win, because you have to do two things. One, you have to have Advion in the comment, so I know you actually are entering for the giveaway. And then second, you have to be present to win. So next week, whenever the live stream goes on, you got to actually be here to have a chance of winning it. So I'm putting the link to the video that you have to comment on in the live stream now. Advion giveaway video. You guys have the instructions, and there you go. And that's the video you need to add it to. So hope that helps. Hope that helps. All right. Next up is Russ C. He says, how soft does the soil surface need to be for Ardent 15? For our Tifway 419 sod install? It keeps raining and packing back down my scarified till surface. Install next week. It doesn't have to be super soft, Russ. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. I mean, when you say it's getting packed down, I imagine it's still relatively soft. It's not getting crazy compacted in a week just from a little bit of rainfall. So you're likely fine. You know what I mean? If you're asking, does it need to be like super fluffy before you put the sod down on it? No, absolutely not. I mean, if you watch when these guys are building houses around here and they put the sod down, it's, they put sod on dirt that I necessarily wouldn't. I would not be so quick. I'd do a bit more prep work than they do, and it grows in just fine. So you're going to be just fine with the Tifway 419. It sounds like you're already doing a lot of. You can say exactly what the prep work you're doing is, but if you are bringing in soil, you're leveling it, you're putting some organic material in there, you're just trying to get the soil prepped, you're gonna be just fine. Bermuda is not very picky in what it grows in. The big thing that it has to have is sunlight. So if you have sunlight, you're going to be good to go. As far as what your soil prep, I'd say you're more than likely good to go. I wouldn't sweat it too much. Chris Ferguson says, "What's the best bug killer and how long do they last? How far away from the house do you spray, and do you apply it to the walls and eaves of the house? I have lots of ants, crickets. I live in the country." So it depends. It depends what you're trying to target. So if you want to get rid of ants, like if you want ants gone, then this is an excellent product, the Advion Fire Ant Bait. Like this is a good product, Chris. I would, like the video I just linked in the chat, I would apply this around the perimeter of the house and then around the perimeter of your property. That's going to keep them away from the home. And then it's also going to keep, if you have neighboring lawns, it's going to help keep them out of your lawn. So 2 rings like that is going to do the trick for you. I got a video here. It's the one that's in the chat. The one that's in the chat says Advion giveaway video. And I can actually just tag you in it here because I think it's still on my clipboard. So I can copy and do it to you. So here you go. So for Chris, there you go. So that video, that's going to cover the fire ants. Now, as far as other insects, it depends what you're trying to target. I am a really big fan of the Miramichi Green Pest Control. Looking at what this also will cover ants too, but if I can bring the label up here so you can actually see it. Nope, because the light's not good. Yeah. So this will also cover, can you see here? It covers ants, no-see-ums, roaches, ticks, aphids, whiteflies, fleas, and chinch bugs. So this is a very, very good pest control. It's non-toxic. And I don't know why I don't just show you on the store, because that would make sense, right? It really makes it really easy to show you the label that way. So go to shop, go to Miramichi Green Biostimulants, and on the top shelf is the pest control. This, again, it's a non-toxic product. So literally with this thing, the nice thing about this is that you can spray this kind of like what you are talking about. You can spray it on the outside of the house. You can spray it on the sides of the house. You can spray it on shrubs. You can spray it on your lawn furniture. You can spray it on the patio. And literally, once it dries, you can re-enter the area. It's not toxic, so really you could technically enter the area right away, but you probably don't want to have your clothes smelling like lemony, which is how this stuff smells. It actually smells pretty nice. So as far as something that is safe, that the bugs cannot form a resistance to, which is really nice, this is an excellent product. You can see everything that it controls here and more, spiders as well. It controls a lot of different insects. Now I've got a video here that shows you in the description how I recommend to use it. I recommend using a fogger. Like if you're going to use it on the outside of the home, you can use a backpack sprayer, but a fogger is really better. One, you're going to get a lot more coverage by using a fogger, and then it makes it much easier to spray the side of the house, spray eaves, spray shrubs, that kind of thing. You just get a lot more coverage out of the product if you do that. I will have a link. I think I have a link in here to a fogger. Yeah, right there. So in the description as well, there's a fogger, the one that I use in this video. So this is this is what I would recommend as far as a great product. Everyone that has bought this, I have not gotten any negative feedback on this. One, because it's not toxic, which a lot of people like, and it's very effective. It works, and so it kills the stuff that you want dead, and it's not toxic to the things that you want to keep around, like kids and pets and that kind of thing. And the bugs can't form a resistance to this like they can other insecticides. So for that reason, I would say the Miramichi Green Pest Control, if you want one thing to rule them all, but if all you care about is ants, Advion's a great product, but then this is also, excellent product as well too. Lots of great feedback on it. So got you covered there, Chris. If you need anything else, let me know. Off the X is giving the thumbs up. I appreciate that, Off the X, guys. And if you are here and you have not given a thumbs up in the live stream, I would really appreciate that, because the likes do help. They help with the algorithm. Next up is McNasty Motorsports. He says, "Ron, nice score on the rotary scissors. Mine should arrive in the morning. Well, check out your video before I try them. Held off on the back lawn detail work yesterday so I can practice out of sight." Yeah, McNasty. What will happen is I'll tell you. The video is going to be live tomorrow morning, but I'll tell you guys in the live stream a little trick, because once I get off with the show, I'm going to add it to a playlist. It'll obviously show up in the playlist prior to being live tomorrow morning. So it's a way that you guys can see it ahead of time if you so desire. It's normally going to end up in the most popular playlist. So if you really want to see it, you can take a look at that and you can see it ahead of time. The only thing I ask is that you watch the entire video, and if you want to leave a comment, that's fine. But just watching the entire video is really helpful. It's literally a little bit of me talking. So in that video, I figure it's the kind of content where people really want to see the tool work and me just not like talking the entire time. So I give you some my thoughts on it, like the cost of it, the pros and cons, how I plan to use it, then I actually show it being used in the areas that how I plan to use it. And then I close out with some closing thoughts. The whole video is like right around 5 minutes, not crazy long. So watch the whole thing. It's fun. Got some good music in it too, which I think you guys will like. All right, McNasty, but you'll be able to see it tomorrow morning, worst case scenario, if you don't stay up late and try and figure out where it is on the channel. Okay, next is, Chris is here. He says, was looking at the mirror matrix green pest control. How long will it last? That's the one question I didn't answer. About 3 weeks. About 3 weeks, Chris. That's what it's labeled for. Now, here's the thing. If you get like a ton of rain, like torrential rain, you're just gonna 2 to 3 weeks, but it's gonna lean more towards that 2 week time frame. Ideally, you want to apply it, let it dry, and then you're gonna get about 3 weeks of coverage out of the product. So it's again, it's a non-toxic product. And if you want something that's safe for you and fur babies and kids, then great option. And a backpack sprayer does work. You get about 1,500 square feet of coverage if you're spraying like the lawn and other areas with it out of a backpack sprayer. With a fogger, that coverage more than doubles. So if you're going to be spraying a lot, it's probably worth investing in a fogger, but it's kind of up to you whether you want to do that or not. Next up is Gap Performance. He says, I've been following you since the Focus ST days, and I've used some of your videos to make my lawn look way better. Keep being awesome. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, man, that's when I had the RS and was like, out there chasing horsepower in the Focus. So yeah, I appreciate that Gap Performance. Definitely. Good times, good times. Salvador L is here. He says, I have 4,000 to 4,500 square feet of Bermuda. I bought your Celsius Certainty and Surfactant combo. What rates do you recommend to blanket the entire lawn with this combo? Okay, so the rates are in the video. Do I have a thing? I think I got one here. So I don't have my glasses on. So, but if you look here on, you're not gonna be able to see this on the label. What I show, follow the video that's in the description. I'll show you here really quick so you can find that because let's go here. Go to the store and I'll show you really quick. So Salvador, if you go to Weed Killer, in the description for either Celsius or Certainty, it's the same video, you'll see a description video here. Like this is an instructional video that shows how I like to use it. There's multiple ways of doing it, but this is how I do it. And this is like a medium rate. It's not a crazy heavy rate. The long short of it is 0.45. So you're not gonna be able to see this on here because the print's way too small. But in that video, I have some really, really tight macro shots that show you exactly how much of this I'm using, like where to measure to. And then I also, if memory serves me, I use 3 scoops, three of the small scoops of Certainty with 4 gallons of water. So the measurement up to 0.45 on this cup, along with 3 scoops of Certainty with 4 gallons of water will cover 4,000 square feet, 4,500 square feet. And that's a good rate, a good reasonable rate. That is, assuming you apply it properly, so that the 4 gallons goes over 4,000 square feet, shouldn't ding your grass, shouldn't have any real negative result to the Bermuda, and yeah, you should be good to go. But watch that video because a lot of work went into that. Like there's that video that you guys see live. There are multiple versions of that. Like I did it over and over and redid certain sections of it to get it exactly the way I want it to, where it's as clear as possible. And the people that have followed that have gotten really good results. So watch the video. Like that tells you exactly how I would recommend doing it. It's not the only way. You can definitely go higher on the rates, but I've gotten a good result with those rates, so that's what I'd recommend. Appreciate the support. If you need anything else, let me know. Natalie, what's going on? She's in the live stream tonight. Natalie Tran is coming to hang out with us. Hope you are doing well. Hopefully that the Certainty did the trick on the PO. I know you're working on that like a month and a half ago. So hopefully lawn is looking a lot better now. And if you need anything else, definitely let me know. Next up is Salvador. He's back. He says, what setting do you recommend on the Typhoon? I move my screen over here. What setting do you recommend on the Typhoon backpack sprayer? Interestingly enough, my calibration yielded 14 ounces on a setting in 1 minute and 15 seconds, and 20 ounces on settings to 2 through 5 and 15 seconds. Okay, so it sounds like you have the 2.5 sprayer. I don't have one of those to be able to tell you exactly what I would say, but I would say I'll tell you what the calibration is going to be. But I can tell you that I would go on the lower pressures. It sounds like you're going with a higher pressure. you need to go on the lower end. Work up a calibration on the lower end of the pressures for the Typhoon sprayer. Like my sprayers that I have now are the Yard Mastery and the Flow Zone Typhoon 2, not the 2.5. And I've done both ways. I've done the high pressure calibrations and low pressure calibrations, and you can get great results with either. For most people, I just tell them to go low pressure, because one, you don't have to walk as fast, and then second, the margin for error is a little bit better, right? Like if you're spraying at really high flow rates, it's really easy to over apply the product. So work up your calibration based on one of the lower calibration settings is what I would do, Salvador. And what you point out while I'm looking for the next comment is exactly the reason why I think that like a 4 or 5 setting sprayer for most homeowners is kind of pointless, right? Because like you'd have to literally do a different calibration for every pressure setting and a different calibration for every spray tip you plan to use at said pressure setting. And most people just aren't going to do that. You can either go high or low. So in most cases, you're probably going to end up using the high setting or the low setting, in which case that 5 setting sprayer really becomes a 2 setting sprayer. Because if you're doing it properly, you need to do a calibration for not only the different setting, but also the different spray tip at that setting. Because for example, this air induction tip is going to flow differently than the flood jet tip, which is going to flow differently than the foliar tip. So you have to have a different calibration for each one of these at each setting. So I would just pick a high and a low and work up your calibrations for each one of those, each spray tip at said setting, and go to town. So that's what I would do. And really, if you only are trying to do one, like you're trying to save time, you really want to be lazy, you don't want to do a ton of work, pick a lower setting, because for the flood jet tip, you tend to apply those at lower pressure settings than high anyway. So if you're going to pick one, go lower. All right, next up is G Free. He says, "Hey Ron Shipe, Action Gang, happy Friday, great Friday, and happy holidays. Enjoy." Thanks for that, G Free. Appreciate that. Thanks for coming to hang out. And then next is what do we here? We have Anthony Wilkins. He says, "Hi Ron, I had a dark green yard of Kent 31 and tall fescue, but now I have a thin brown grass in most of the yard. If I put down fertilizer, will it recover?" Okay, so I'm not familiar with Kent 31. And I know what tall fescue is, but I don't know what Kent 31 is. I would figure out why you said now you have thin brown grass in the yard. If you put down fertilizer, will it recover? I mean, is the grass dead or dying? Because I don't know I'm not sure what part of the country you're in, Anthony. And the fact that your grass is brown, we need to figure out why it's brown. Is it because lack of water? Is it because temperatures are higher? Is it a disease problem? Because the first thing that comes to mind is not to throw fertilizer at like brown grass to make it green again. Normally those grass turning brown like that is like it's either trying to go into dormancy or there's something else going on that's causing it to check out. You know what I mean? And fertilizer isn't the first thing that comes to mind as how we would fix that. So if you're still in the live stream, if you can add a little more context around like one, where in the country you are, and if there's anything else going on that might be helpful for answering the question. But my first inclination is to tell you no. Like I would not throw fertilizer at brown grass that's potentially dying as a way to fix it, especially with it being a cool season grass, with it being late spring, early summer, because those types of grasses tend to struggle this time of year, more so than say like Bermuda or zoysia. So a little bit more context, and I'll revisit your question. All right. Next is Kevin Brewster, where he says, "Hey guys, Ron is live." I am. Uh-huh. I sure am. Appreciate you. Let's see here. What are the comments got here? I appreciate you, Kevin. And then next up is Wilbur Yoon. He says, "Yo, Transition Zone represent." Thanks for coming to hang out, Wilbur, in the live stream. You're representing for the transition zone, I guess. So yay for that. Go for that. All right, next is Logan. He's back here. He has a question about the 901C kit and rates. Okay, so he says, it was a video where you're putting your fur down 901 NutriKelp and carbon kits. You're putting down 0.15, 0.10 to 0.15. I think it was 0.10. It should have been. If I said 0.15, maybe it was a mistake, but normally it's around 0.10 is what I normally say. I says, okay, putting down 0.15 pounds on the liquids for color. Was wondering how you figured your rates. I've never done. I didn't see anything else. Oh yeah, I've never done the spoon feeding type applications. So it's based on the label. So the label for Turflex is what I was using last year. Like it actually calls for that. So 6 ounces, a tenth of a pound of nitrogen. That I got really good results with that. Last year, I also did a couple of applications at 901C at those same rates, and the results were also good as well. So I just stuck with that for this growing season. So that is how I came up with the rates because it's on the label. And then next you said, man, I enjoy your videos. The delay wasn't a problem. I'm learning as I waited. I appreciate you taking the time to answer all the questions. So glad I found your channel. I appreciate it, Cameron. Again, really sorry for taking so long to get to the super chat. Hopefully now I've answered or cleared up the question around rates and how I came up with that. Literally, if you look at the label for Turfplex, it's, I mean, I think unless I'm crazy here, I'm almost positive on the back. Yeah, it says right here. Yeah, a tenth of a pound of nitrogen at at 6 ounces per thousand, a tenth of a pound of nitrogen. So it's right on the back of the bottle. So that is how I came up with that. And through my testing, I need to empty that bottle out. It's actually a full bottle of fertilizer. There's no reason for me to have that on the shelf. It makes 0 sense. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, last year when I used that, I had really good results. So I stuck with those same rates for this year. There's no real reason to change it up. You know what I mean? If it's working, like why change it? Definitely want to go up in rate. So good stuff. Next up is No Name. He says, "Good evening, Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts. Sorry for my tardiness. You're here. Ron, I know about the tuna can method for rain measurement, but can you recommend a rain gauge?" I can't. I've never actually used a rain gauge. I don't own a rain gauge. I don't have one. Like I've tried the one that is supposed to work in my sprinkler system, the irrigation system. It's never worked. So what I normally do is just look at the forecast, see how much rain we are getting. I run my irrigation fairly normally, and I look at the lawn. I can see it needs a little water. It looks a little dry. Maybe I run a slightly heavier cycle than I normally do. But I don't have a rain gauge or a rain measurement that I can recommend because I don't use them. I don't have any of them. So sorry, not more help on that one, No Name. But if you find a good one, let me know because I'm sure you'll be back in the live stream. If you find one, let me know which one you went with. Timo Tio says, "Hey Ron, love your channel. Thank you so much, Tim. I really do appreciate the love and support." Robert Rainey says, "Playing golf, checking in." So guys, here's the thing. The video that you guys are about to watch tomorrow on the rotary scissors is this man's fault. It's Robert's fault because he kept talking to me saying, "Dude, you got to get a rotary scissors." And it's like the best thing ever. It would totally change the way, your lawn looks and the edging and this and that. And I'm like, man, it's like another tool I got to maintain and take care of. These things are expensive. I don't and I got to find somewhere to put it and all this kind of stuff. And he was right. It's like one of those things. It's one of those things that you never knew you always needed. That's probably the best way to describe it. But it's really, it's such a niche item that unless you are incredibly picky about the finish of your lawn, like around mailboxes, along fence lines, around those kinds of things, it's hard to justify because it's expensive. I mean, they're between $350 and $400 for this thing, and really, you're buying something that technically a weed eater or a string trimmer can do the same thing. Granted, the finish is nowhere near like a string trimmer can't match this thing as far as how the grass looks when you're done with it. But it's it's one of those things that it's something I would consider after you have pretty much everything else that you want, and you want to have your edging be, if you want to have your edging look like it was real mode, then you need rotary scissors. So watch the videos coming out tomorrow morning. You guys can let me know, give me feedback on what you guys think about it, and hopefully you enjoy it. But it's Robert's fault. It's his fault that I got one. He's still trying to get me to get something called a Darwin grip. I haven't gotten that yet, but I'm sure eventually he'll wear me down because he's pretty convincing. So we shall see. All right, next up is Big Germ. He says, "Hey Ron, thanks for answering my questions lately. My Myers zoysia is not greening up this year. I put down liquids and granular before all this rain, but it's browner than normal for this time of year. Any suggestions?" Yeah, so if this time of year it should be greening up, Big Germ. So if you've got sunlight, which zoysia needs less than Bermuda, but if you've got plenty of sunlight, it sounds like you're feeding the lawn. The next thing I'm going to want to do is a soil test, right? So if you've not done one of these, pick one of these up. The one I recommend is this guy here from My Soil. We carry them on the golf course lawn store. It's going to be the way to figure out if there's any kind of nutrient deficiency or something else going on in the soil that could be holding the grass back from greening up, because to your point, like I'm not sure where you are in the country, but if I assume Georgia, this time of year, your zoysia should be greening up pretty nicely. You know what I mean? It may not be fully green, foliate, it's full, full tilt yet, but it should be closer to green than it is to dormant than to brown right now. If you're telling me it's just lagging, then we need to figure out why. And a soil test will help us with that. So I'd recommend that. You can get the soil test and the probe, like a kit together with these, on the Golf Course Lawn Store. So check that out. And they're really easy to use. You get your results in about a week. And then if you want to, you can email me after the fact, if you get your soil test results, here to ron@golfcourselawn.com, and I'll go through them and I'll let you know, hey, this is what I would recommend doing, assuming that you don't, that the recommendations that come with the soil test aren't clear enough, because that's one thing you also get too, is you get recommendations with the results when you do that. So hope that helps. If you need anything else, let me know. CS Mike says, how often do you recommend putting down Carbon Pro G? What's your budget? What's your budget really? Really, I'd say monthly. If you can swing it, monthly is a great cadence. I'm doing Essential G every single month. So, Essential G or Carbon Pro G, either of those, if you can do them monthly, that's a great, that you're gonna be in great shape by doing that. I have applied the products every month since the summer of 2020, every month. So I've applied the granulars. So thankfully here in Georgia, we don't get like crazy freezing weather to where the ground freezes and you can't really apply them. But yeah, every single month since then, the lawn has gotten an application of either Essential G or Carbon Pro G. Last year, switched to Essential G, and I've been using that since. But Carbon Pro G is an excellent product too. You're not gonna, either one of them. You're gonna get great results with either one. So hope that helps. Really, it comes down to your budget, and then for me, monthly. Next up, he says, what do you think about the Anderson's Humichar? I can't really comment on it, CS Mike. I've never used it. However, a lot of people that use the product seem to like it, right? And the reviews that I've seen about it seem to be pretty good. So I imagine it's a good product, but I can't, from direct experience, say, what do I think about it? Because I can tell you it's probably okay, but I've never actually used it myself. But I imagine it's probably fine. Okay, next here's another question where he says, is granular humic acid just as good as liquid? Seems like a better price proposition if it's the same. Is granular just the same as liquid? I mean, humic acid is humic acid. Is it just as good as liquid? I guess if you're putting down the same percentages, it should be equivalent. Yeah, it should be enough to where if you took a plot a control plot that had granular humic acid applied to it, and you had another one that had the same percentage of liquid humic acid applied to it, and you told someone to tell you which one was which, I wouldn't imagine that you'd see a big difference with all else being equal. So whichever one is easier for you to apply. So if you're a person that likes granulars more, do that. If you're a person that likes liquids more, do that. So it depends on which you prefer. You know what I mean? So hope that helps. All right, Mike has one last question. He says, do you know anything about, nope, that's the wrong one. He says, do you know anything about Whole Organics Bio 800 lawn? I do not. Never heard of it until right now. All right, next up is Saul Rodriguez. He says, how can I kill my ryegrass in Bermuda? Couple of different options. You can use Celsius. This will do it. Celsius will do it. Certainty is also labeled, I believe, for ryegrass. So either one of these guys or both of them, show them either this by itself or this or them together. They will do ryegrass. Revolver will also do ryegrass. It's a lot more expensive product. So Certainty is if you just want one product, Certainty with a surfactant will work well, Saul. So what I would do if it were me is I would I'll show you here really quick. Go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to the weed killer section, which is right here. And then you can pick either one of these. Celsius, we'll just say with that one, but either one, regardless of which one you go with, get a surfactant to go with it. So the effectiveness that you get out of these products, a surfactant really, really helps. So either Celsius and a surfactant or Certainty and a surfactant. If you want to get the kit and then use both of them, that's fine too. That will work as well too. It's really your call which